All right, Mr. Chairman, we're on the air.
Thank you.
Thank you. Call to order the planning board meeting for May 13th. It is now 7:31. Ms. Kuntz, could you please, I got 7:28 over there. I got 7:30.
I got 7:33, I know.
So split the difference
On
to
the iPhone.
7:30.
That's perfect, okay.
Could you please read the statements?
Happy to.
Thank you very much.
Number one, call to order and statement of compliance. Adequate notice of this meeting or hearing has been provided by posting a copy of the public meeting and hearing dates on the municipal bulletin board and website, by sending a copy to the Echo Sentinel newspaper, and by filing a copy with the municipal clerk. Number two, standard board procedures. Any meeting or hearing conducted by the board is a quasi-judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial meeting or hearing must be maintained at all times. Number three, meeting cutoff. Announcement is made that as a matter of procedure, it is the intention of the planning board not to continue any matter past 10:30 p.m. at any regular or special meeting or hearing of the board unless a motion is passed by the members then present to extend the meeting or hearing to a later specified cutoff time. Number four, electronic devices. All in attendance are asked to mute cell phones or any electronic devices as to not interrupt the proceedings. Number five, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now roll call. Where's my pen? Oh, there. Ms. Dill.
Present.
Mr. Hams.
Here.
Committeeman Lavender.
Present.
Mr. Lavareria.
Present.
Ms. Ogins.
Here.
Mr. Opalka is excused this evening. Vice Chairman Jones, AKA Acting Chairman.
Present.
And Chairman Richardson is excused this evening. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. So the next item on the agenda is an application. It's a minor subdivision for block 11602, lot 16, zone R4, 334 Main Avenue. Application number is 25-05, P as in Papa.
Before we,
Oh, we went red on this one.
Yep.
there's a
Sorry, before we get started, is there anyone who needs to?
point of order, yeah.
Thank you very
So I
much.
think,
Go ahead, Ms. Sands.
as we now have 5 members at the board, thank you, Teresa, turning up. I'm going to recuse myself from this application because I feel personal friendship with the applicant. So if that's okay with everybody,
Fine with me.
I will either sit back there, go, or in there, come back for the rest of the meeting, or go to Chilento's for a beer. One of them.
Thank you for that. And if you do retire to the conference room, I ask that you please leave my dinner where it is. Inventory, thank you very much.
Good luck, everybody.
Thank you. Any other members that care to make a statement, or are we okay to proceed?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we want to swear in?
Yeah, but before we do, actually, this is a first for me. I thought we did have the notice already, but I don't have it in front of me. So if that could be brought, my apologies. I always pre-review the notice. Thought I looked at everything over the weekend, thought I did, and I guess I didn't. So bear with me one second. Should have done this sooner, April 17. So we have, the notice was published April 17, more than 10 days in advance. As per the affidavit, it was sent certified mail at least 10 days prior to this evening as well. I'm looking for that date. Maybe applicant's counselor can expedite. It looks like it might have been April
Probably not.
14th certified mail pursuant to the slips.
You have my copy at this point.
I have your copy, okay, great. Well, all right, I'm not gonna, so it was timely served, and the notice does provide name, date, and time of application all accurately. It also summarizes the relief sought, construction of a subdivision of the lot, has most, if not all, of the variance relief at issue accurately cited, has the plans availability listed as well. So without further ado, and I apologize for the ado we already took, The notice is sufficient both in content and timely served and published, so the board does have jurisdiction to hear and decide the application this evening, and I didn't mean for the chairman to deliver, but thank you, Mr. Chairman, for delivering that.
An A service here.
Thank you. So we can proceed, and I can swear in the witnesses either after Mr. Zelli's opening or before, whatever works.
We can do it now, that's fine.
Okay, and we have,
So we have three
three
on our
witnesses.
Caputo,
And they
Mr.
are
Hollows,
the
and
applicant,
Mr.
Mr.
Giordano.
Hollows, and is that the architect?
Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Caputo, Mr.
and
Hollows,
also
and
our
Mr.
board
Giordano.
professionals, our planner and engineer, if they'll raise their right hand as well. All five of you, thank you to all of you. Swear to God or affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you all. Now I finally got my formalities out of the way, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Sir? Hand it over to you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, board professionals, Frederick Zelli, post Pollock, on behalf of the applicants. This is for Sabato, Gerarda, and Irene Giordano regarding 334 Main Avenue, Block 11602, Lot 16, located in your R4 zone. Subject property is a corner lot located at the southwest corner of Main Avenue and Morris Street in the Sterling section of the township. The applicant's family has owned and resided in the existing single-family home which fronts on Main Avenue for almost 4 decades, since 1986. The applicants reside there, as I said. Sam, as we refer to you. And Gerardo with their daughter Irene. The applicants wish to raise the 2 existing deteriorating accessory barns/garages, subdivide the property in order to create a building lot fronting on Morris Street, and then construct a new modest-sized 3-bedroom, single-family home on the new lot for Irene and her family to live in. The property is undersized for the R4 zone. Under the current ordinance, 20,000 square feet is required, and we have 17,920. Nonetheless, it is exactly double the size of most of the immediately surrounding properties, which are all 8,960 square feet, presumably because the lot was a double lot under the original zoning for the neighborhood, and we're guessing the original zoning was 8,960 square feet. While the proposed lots could in theory be made equal in area, doing so would require a rear yard setback variance for the remainder lot, still has the house on it, and would also require sacrificing a significant part of the backyard for parking. We're therefore instead proposing a 10,000 square foot corner lot with the existing homestead facing Main Avenue. That would be lot 1601 on the plans, and a 7,920 square foot building lot facing Morris Street, lot 1602 on the plans, which would be your new building lot. In addition to the minor subdivision approval itself, the project requires the following variance relief. Both variants for lot area for 1601, remainder lot, permitting 10,000 square feet where 20,000 is required under the ordinance, again, with 8,960 being the prevailing lot size in the neighborhood. 2, bulk variance for lot area for 1602, same thing, permitting 7,920 instead of 20,000. 3, bulk variance for lot width for 1602, permitting 79.2 feet where 100 feet is required. 50 feet is pretty common in the neighborhood, so again, we are not compliant there, but we are certainly a lot closer than what's actually required under the zone. Number 4, bulk variance for front yard setback for 1602, permitting 26.4 feet where 50 is required. 20 to 30 feet is actually prevailing on the southern side of Morris Street. Number 5, bulk variance for lot coverage for 1601, that's the remainder lot. There was a typo in our plans. We are showing 31.6% being required. We realized today, actually, that the garage was still listed in the calculations. So once that was taken out, as it should have been, we were actually down to 26.65% in a 25% zone. So we still need the variance, but we are much, much closer than we were, what we thought we were. And then finally, a bulk variance for not providing at least a single-car garage as required by section LU 124.4A2 of your ordinance. And those are the 6 variances that we would need for this subdivision. I have 3 witnesses this evening, all sworn in already. Sabato Sam Giordano, one of our applicants, John Caputo, our architect, and Bill Hollows, our engineer and planner, who will be testifying in that order. Unless anyone has any questions for me?
I'd ask that all board members just hold all questions until we're done with your presentation.
Okay.
And then your
Mr. Giordano, you are up. So what we're going to do is put this close to you.
Very well.
Sam, where do you presently reside?
334 Main Avenue, Sterling,
Okay.
in New Jersey, that is, because I've seen it elsewhere.
And where, just in normal terms, in the Sterling section, where is that physically located?
It's in downtown Sterling. And I basically didn't move far since I came to this country. I went on Essex Street, Central Avenue, I came back to Main Street. That's my story so far.
And you're at the southwest corner of
It's
Morris
the
and
south,
Main?
it's on the southwest side of, on the corner of Morris and on Main Street, yeah.
And just to follow through on your history a little bit, who in your family has owned this property since the 80s?
I was one of the original owners, and together with my brother, and my parents were there as well. And then afterwards, it was just myself, my wife, Gerarda, and my parents, and of course with my children. Since we had our first child in 1987, and that's where we've been.
And fast
Today.
forward to now, who owns the property now?
My wife and myself.
Your daughter's name's on the
And
deed.
she's
too.
under, she's on there as well, yes.
Okay, just because she has a baby on her hands over there, she could still come here and,
Yeah, true.
correct you here. Okay.
But she's been part of it, yeah.
Now, we're going to have Mr. Hollows describe the property, the technical details of it. But just in your own words, would you tell the board you told us where it is, but what buildings are located on the property? How's it laid out?
So, the main house, it's probably been there prior to 1900. So has the large barn, which faces Morris Street. And then the garage is all the way in the back right corner of the property. Behind the garage, there's also a shed, which I've always considered that to be a nice lot with all of those items on there, but they're, of course, always wanted also to get rid of them, to be able to clean it up, and maybe I'm at the point where I could possibly do that.
So you're
So-
flipping through the photographs.
so-
Now, these, I'm just going to tell the board, these
Yeah.
are the photographs that we submitted with our application.
Right.
They should be in the same order, stapled, that the board has them. So what I'm going to do is ask you, first of all, I'm going to represent, I took them shortly before the application, obviously, when snow was still on the ground. They were accurate at the time, and you'll tell us if they still are, subject to the snow not being there. But what I'm going to do is ask you to go through each one and just tell the board what is shown in the photograph.
So the first photograph is on the left-hand side of the photograph is the house, the main house. And basically in the center where the cars are is a large barn called quote-unquote garage. And then all the way to the right side in the back is a two-bay garage. And cannot see in this photo, but there's also a shed in the back.
Okay.
Then the other photo is just basically the rundown garage as a close-up photo. And then a close-up, much closer-up photo of the garages. And then a side view from the garages, that you see the side barn, and also the house on the back there on the right side.
So in that photograph, we're facing Main Avenue, but on the
Correct.
opposite side of the barn.
Yep, to the left of this barn here is the Morris Street. And then this is a much close-up of that house or barn. And one more, this is a view from the back of the barn, the backyard, right behind the house, looking towards Morris Street, and actually facing north.
And that's your patio area behind the house?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm. And the other one is the back of our home. And this is, of course, this is what faces Main Avenue. And from the other picture is a photograph taken from Morris Street,
On the side,
and
the northern side of your
it's
house?
the north side of the home, yep. The left side is, again, Main Avenue, and this is right from Main Avenue, the front of the house.
Okay, thank you. And seasonal differences aside, the property still looks like this today?
Exactly.
Now, we're here tonight because, as you've described, you'd like to subdivide the property, be able to develop the western side?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right.
Yep.
And tell us why you'd like to do that.
Basically, I consider myself a family man, and I like to keep my children together. I've been trying to do that for a while, and I have 3 daughters. One lives on Long Hill Road, the oldest one. The middle one here, with the child here, she's been with us, and that's Irene. And in the home, I have another daughter that lives with us. If I could keep my children close together, and even next door is even better. I'm not getting any younger, neither is my wife, so I support, I don't expect to support, but I hope that I will get the support in the older days, that God willing. And that's the main reason of wanting to do this. In addition to, if this gets done, it also the area gets cleaned up as well.
And the thought is to demolish the 3 accessory buildings,
Exactly.
subdivide and build a new house. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yep.
Just for the board's understanding, what are you using the accessory buildings for now, if anything?
In this barn, there's some storage area of some old things that I had, other than that. And it'll all be dumped away probably, whatever that I cannot use.
So you don't need to replace that space, so to speak? Okay.
No.
And you've engaged John Caputo as your architect to design a new house?
That's correct.
Okay, and he's going to tell us the details of the
Of
design, but if you
yeah.
would, just in your own words, tell us what the house is going to have.
A 3-bedroom, a great room with a kitchen area, a bathroom downstairs, and it's going to have 2 bathrooms upstairs, or maybe 3, I think,
I
upstairs.
think the plans show 3.
Yeah, 3, yeah. And I believe it's a little alcove in the back, a little area, entrance area, so to speak.
Okay. Now, the house does not feature either attached or detached garage. is
No,
that
it does not. We never really had a garage, so.
correct? You got a bunch of them, you just don't use them for
Don't
cars,
use them.
is that fair?
Correct. Much easier to get in and out, to move.
And that has not been a problem over these years? You've been there for
Not
40
at all.
years? Okay.
No, I never really had the need for it, to be honest.
And is there, in your experience living there all this time, is there plenty of parking along Morris Street, if need be?
Absolutely, absolutely. Never really had any problems about parking.
Thank you. I have nothing further for Mr. Giordano at this time. Did you want to,
Right on it, continue. with
you don't
the-
need to open it to the public for questions?
Sorry, should we-
At discretion of the chair, we can have questioning after each witness and then public comment at the end, or we can
I'll save it
have
to the
questioning
end.
after all 3 witnesses. Certainly also, the board may have questions as well, of particular witnesses,
I've
but
already told the board that they'll hold all questions to the end, so
There you
I'll
go.
do the same with the public. Thank
the
you.
board professionals will abide by that advice as well.
And Mr. Caputo, you are up. Once you're set up,
Use the mobile, thank you.
would you please,
Thank you, Fred.
if you would, please begin by giving us your
Yes.
professional and educational background?
Yes, my name is John Caputo. I live here in Long Hill. I have a Master's of Architecture degree from Cornell University, a Master's of Design from the Graduate School of Design at Harvard University. Lived here in Long Hill for 15 years now, and hold a
Can you
current.
Just make sure to hold the microphone.
Yes. Currently hold a registered, hold a New Jersey license as a registered architect.
Okay, and that license is in good standing this evening?
It's in good standing as of today.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And I'm
And
sorry, did you say AIA or RA?
RA, so registered with
Yep.
the state.
Okay. And
Not,
have you ever if I may, have you ever testified before a land use board previously and been accepted as an expert in the field of architecture?
I have, in front of Madison, and Springfield most recently.
There you go. Borough or township, Madison?
Madison is a borough.
Borough, right, okay. That's right, there's only one, isn't there? That's right, it is, the borough, yeah. I had a nap there myself not too long ago, I should know that. Defer to the chair.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
You accept it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Caputo, you were tasked with designing the new home, as Mr. Giordano has testified?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
And my understanding that's going to be facing on Morris Street. That's your understanding as well, I hope?
Morris is the front.
Oh.
What we're considering the front side of the residence. Yes.
Okay. Would you please first describe the existing buildings from an architectural perspective that are on the lot, all of them?
Yes. The buildings that Mr. Giordano mentioned, what he calls the barn, which is the largest in the photos, is a two-story post and beam structure. It's hard to estimate the date of construction, but well over 100 years. It is old, however, I don't believe it has historical significance.
And just for the record, you are either presently or about to be a member of the Historic Preservation?
Newly appointed member
Okay.
of the HPAC
Thank you.
here in town. Unfortunately, the condition is problematic of this structure. It's constructed out of rough-hewn columns, which have over the years deteriorated. And the first floor is racking severely. Of the barn, probably about 5 or 7 degrees out of plumb, presents a safety hazard as it stands now. And I don't believe that my client has used the barn ever to park in. And I'd recommend that actually he not pull a car in there because operation of the door would be difficult. The other structure, which is actually two structures, it's a freestanding single-story garage, is even in worse shape. The racking there is probably 15 to 20 degrees. And that building is located pretty close to the property line in the southwest corner. And the third structure is a shed, which is fine, but the applicant wishes to clean up that corner of the property by demolishing everything.
And finally, one more thing before you go into your design. Could you tell us about the other homes in the immediate vicinity along Morris Street and so forth, and give us, from an architectural perspective, what kind of homes are they, what sizes, what scale, and so forth?
Sure. When we approached the process of design, we considered carefully the composition of these homes, especially on Morris Street, because this house is meant to front the side street, not Main Avenue. On Main Avenue, you see a lot of front porches, wraparound porches, mixed use, but this is meant to be part of the side street. On Morris, you see a lot of older Cape Cod style, small colonial, and smaller, modest ranch houses. Most of them are approximately 25 to 30 feet off of the right-of-way on Main. And you see a mixture of properties with and without garage. It wouldn't be unusual to have a house without a detached or attached garage on Morris.
Okay. And now, if you would, please take us through your design.
Sure. These are the same sheets that everyone has. Would it be better to turn it towards the board or for the cameras?
Leave that up to the board.
Okay. Okay. So with Mr. Giordano's goals of keeping his family close in mind, we designed a conventionally framed two-story structure, type 5B construction, typical single-family residential. The layout of the building is modest. 3 bedrooms upstairs, 1 large multipurpose room downstairs, combined kitchen, living with a fireplace, and then a dining and a living room, more of a formal part of the house to the right or west.
Can you point those rooms out to us on?
Yeah. Yeah, on the second floor, we have a larger master bedroom to the right of the house when you're looking from the street. 2 bedrooms on the upstairs. 4 full baths. Again, with the idea of my client being able to host family and friends. A master suite that's fully enclosed, and a bedroom that has its own bathroom attached, which is why the extra bathroom was added to the plan. On the first floor, a fireplace to the left, facing from the front, with a large gathering den area with a breakfast nook and a kitchen with an island. To the back, because we've been trying to work on the footprint of the house and keeping it extremely compact, we have a terrace that is also covered with a second floor office den that utilizes the same footprint. Mr. Giordano's commented that he would really like an office that on the second floor that's more private, and that this is a perfect place for it.
And that would be the in the top right elevation, that would be the window above the open porch area.
Yep. So right here, these 2 arched openings, almost like a portico. That's a covered terrace, and then that office is up here. Talk about materials a little bit.
Sure.
With the understanding of what we see on in the Sterling neighborhood, and with the understanding of the goals of the master plan with the Sterling downtown district, we are going for something here that's a little bit different. We're not trying to match the other houses on the street, although in scale we are trying to be very consistent. And with modern construction methods, it's important to the client, especially to have a stone look. I wouldn't call this a Tudor style. I'm not sure, but that's the idea of what we're going for. Mr. Giordano has a heritage of use of stone and solid materials, and he's willing to splurge a little bit to use real stone in veneer form, potentially to give the feel, to give the house an earthy feel, and then some other materials, a vertical siding to finish out the rest of the front, and conventional siding for the rest of the house to save cost. The overall height, should I talk about height and
Sure.
bulk? Okay. So in order to maintain this modest scale, we have brought the front eaves down fairly low compared to what you would expect on a full 2-story house, so that the front gutter line would be approximately 17 feet above grade, and overall the ridge is only at 26.8, I believe, from grade. So from the front, and especially from the corner, turning off of Main, the bulk of the house will feel shorter, still inside, keeping a full 9-foot floor-to-ceiling height on the first floor and 8-foot floor-to-ceiling on the second. The concession here is we won't have a full attic. So it's not a full 2.5-story house under zoning. It's a real compact silhouette, which is what we were going for. Overall, that's the theme here, to try to be modest.
And you've indicated that you're not trying to mimic the styles already on Morris Street, but you are trying to be consistent and complementary. Is that fair to say?
I would agree that we're trying to be complementary, Sterling in particular it benefits from a variety of building materials, surfaces, and finishes. That's what we're trying to do here. We'll giving our client something that he'll be proud of.
But you did say that in terms of scale, you are deliberately trying to be consistent with Morris Street.
Absolutely,
right?
that's our number one priority.
And let's just discuss the garage situation briefly. Why did you not design the house with the garage?
To continue the discussion of being modest, a modern garage with car sizes these days requires a 14 by 22, 24 foot footprint, which would essentially use most of this living and dining area on the first floor if the garage were to be placed at grade. We feel like having a true first living floor with what we're saying is 4 full rooms is more important. And the situation on Morris lends itself to parallel parking along the street, which is what my client does now. And we also believe that Main Avenue provides ample parking as well.
All right. Thank you. I have nothing further for Mr. Caputo at this time. Mr. Hollows?
Mr. Hollows, you presented before us before, have you not?
I have,
Maybe once, right?
a couple of times, probably.
You just want to give a quick certification.
Yeah, I'm a licensed professional engineer, land surveyor, and planner in the state of New Jersey. My license is up to date. My office is at 192 Central Avenue in Sterling, and Murphy & Hollows has been in business for over 40 years. And I have been up and down Springfield Avenue, Valley Road, testifying at municipalities. I was in Westfield last night, so.
Thank you.
Okay. I will
I'll start
let
with-
you loose on engineering, and then we'll deal with planning later.
Sounds good.
Just for the record then, Mr. Chairman, we've accepted him as a professional engineer and planner, both, correct?
For both engineer and planner.
Might as well
Yes,
accept
thank
him
you.
as a surveyor, too.
There you go.
Surveyor,
Yeah, to
multiple hats.
create the lot. The property that we're talking about
That's a good point.
He's creating.
is at the southwesterly corner intersection of Main Avenue and Morris Street. And it's the, right under Morris on the drawings you have, this is the area map. The property is 100 feet wide on Main Avenue and 107.
Just for the record, to do it right, just give us the last revised date or the date of this. Is it August 12th, 2024?
August 12, 2024.
Okay, so everybody can make sure then we're referring to the correct subdivision plans that you prepared and that were submitted more than 10 days ago, so they don't have to be marked as an exhibit. Thank you.
Confirm I'm looking at August 12th, 2024.
And again, the subject property is at the southwesterly corner of Main Avenue and Morris Street. It's 100 feet wide on Main Avenue, 179.2 feet on Morris Street. It is basically a residential neighborhood with the exception of the property directly across from on Main Avenue, directly across from the subject property, and that is a building. There's actually a couple of buildings on that parcel now. Recently a subject of a zoning board application, and it has some office space and retail space in that and then the rest is residential, and then there's a residential home behind it. And that's probably one of the only two lots that meet the 100 by 200 foot, 20,000 square foot criteria. I think there's one other one to the west of our subject property that is at 25,000 square feet. Other than that, all the lots are less than 10,000 square feet or equal to 10,000 square feet. In this neighborhood, this was a old map that was filed in 1897, and the lots were pretty much 50 by 150, or some of them were 50 by 200, but they were in 50-foot increments.
Is it accurate that a lot of the lots, particularly the ones facing Main Avenue, are that exact number we spoke of before, that 8,960?
That's correct. They're 50 feet wide, and then the lot area comes out to 8,960, with the exception of the Little Cape Cod that is just up from the corner of Mercer Street, and that's on a 5,000 square foot lot.
And our lot is actually exactly double that, so it's basically a double lot from back in the day.
Yes.
Thank
Now, go to the existing conditions. A1, this is a colorized drawing of sheet 2, and it's the existing conditions plan that you have in your drawings. And we've just colorized it so it'd help you take a look at what's on the property. We've talked about the home that Mr. Giordano has. That's the house.
This is A1?
A1.
It's a colorized version
Of sheet two.
Sheet 2.
of sheet 2. Thank you.
And you can see that the house we're speaking of, where Mr. Giordano lives, is to the south of the property, facing Main Street. That's the two-story dwelling. The barn that is in the most disrepair, it's kind of in the middle of the lot. It's got a gravel drive that accesses to that barn. And then back in the southwest corner of the property, you've got the garage with the shed behind it. There are a few scattered trees around. There's a hedge on the south side, and then it kind of gets into a little overgrown area behind that garage. And then we've got a rock garden kind of situation going on, and then some shrubs behind the house. The front of the house has a porch on it, an open porch. And then the rest of the property is lawn. You had to have really, the gravel area is a parking area that usually has some cars in it, and then there's parking on Main Avenue
And on Morris Street as well.
and on Morris Street. Yes.
Let me just go through a few check-off items here. No wetlands on the property or wetlands buffers?
There are no wetlands.
No open waters or steep slopes?
There's no steep slopes. It is not in the floodplain. This is the part of Sterling that is on the little knoll. As you come from Valley Road, you kind of go uphill. And then as you go past this property, going north towards the railroad tracks, it goes back down. So this is on the high side.
So we're not subject to the ordinance dealing with the flood zones at all? Is that correct?
No, we're not.
Any other environmental constraints of any kind?
Not that I'm aware of, and not that I saw in the field.
And do we anticipate taking down any trees in connection with this project?
No. Just clearing out the brush in the back.
All right, thank you.
And to our west is the driveway for the adjoining property. I'm going to go to what we're going to call A2,
Okay. Colorized what?
colorized sheet 3.
Just for the record, sheet 2 is the existing conditions, sheet 3, the
We call it subdivision.
subdivision. Okay, not proposed, but subdivision, okay.
This is the subdivision drawing where we're showing where the lot that we would like to create. And we also show the proposed new house, and I'll go through that. And then I'll try to go through, I'll go through the variances and then show you where they are. And we have Mr. Giordano's house, well, let's go over what the lots are, and then we can describe what's in them. The corner lot, the existing house lot, we've designated as lot 16.01. It'll be a 100 by 100-foot lot. It'll have 10,000 square feet, so it's very much similar to what's in the neighborhood, or even a little larger than some of the homes or some of the lots in that neighborhood. The proposed new building lot would be 79.2 feet by 100 feet deep, 7,920 square feet, just a little bit under that 8,960, is it, square feet that is kind of prevalent in this neighborhood. So that,
While you're discussing that, can you tell us why we're not just dividing it evenly?
we're trying to match up lot coverage somewhat to get a lot that meets the ordinance as close as we can as far as coverage, which always seems to be a big item, and not just Long Hill, but all the municipalities around here. So we're trying to get the coverage kind of so that it's 25 or close to 25. And I'll go through those numbers. And it also fits the houses, in this case, Mr. Giordano's house that he lives in, it's longer, it's deeper than it is wide. And the house that we're proposing is wider but not as deep, because it fits the streetscape a little bit better.
It's also fair to say that the parking area for the remainder lot would have to take up a lot of the backyard then if you had to squeeze it over onto that side.
That's correct.
Okay.
So we've gone, here's you know the size of the lots, the width, the dimensions, and here's Mr. Giordano's house lot. We're going to remove the patio that he has in the back because he's got the open porch that they can sit on. And then we're proposing a walkway. Actually, there is a walkway there now. We're just going to relocate it. We're going to have to relocate some of the stone garden area. And then we're proposing a parking area for the car, for a car, two cars actually. It's 18 feet wide by 20 feet deep. And this is where we come up with the lot coverage of 26.65, because we had in our listing of impervious coverages, we had added in the garage that was going to be removed. So
And that's the calculation on sheet one.
that's on sheet one.
Okay.
And I'll go through the variances since we're talking about the house lot, the existing house lot. Lot area, we're proposing 10,000 square feet where 20,000 is required. And the front yard setback is required is 50 feet. And existing non-conforming condition is 9.6 feet to Main Avenue and 48.8 feet to Morris. The minimum side yard, it's 10 feet was required. We're existing is 9 feet. And now the coverage is down to 26.65. The second lot is the proposed new building lot. The garage would be removed, that's in the southwest corner along with the shed. The gravel drive that services the barn building, that will be removed along with the barn. And this is the house that was described to you. We have it in dark brown, and in gray is again, an 18-foot by 20-foot parking area for cars. So they're off the street, although there is on-street parking in this area, both on Main and Morris.
Mr. Hollows, in your observations of this neighborhood, you observed a good number of detached garages on the various lots.
Yes.
If we were to do that, is it fair to say that we would end up not only probably causing a coverage issue, but also using an awful lot of the yard space that the family would not be able to enjoy then?
That would be correct. All right, I wanted to go through the variances requested for this building lot. First one would be lot area. We're proposing 7920 square feet, whereas 20,000 is required by the ordinance. Minimum lot width is 100 feet is required by the ordinance. We're at 79.2. The front yard, 50 feet is required. We're proposing a front yard setback of 25 feet. And the reason I'm requesting, or my plan shows that, is that the houses on Morris Street, on this side of Morris Street, the south side of Morris Street, going towards Passaic or going to the west, those homes sit at approximately 25 feet. About a year ago, we did a plan before the zoning board for a house that had burned on that street. And again, that house was at 25 feet. And it's just about every house going towards Passaic Street, with the exception of the last two, which are newer style homes. These are smaller homes on Morris, and they sit at 25 feet. If they have a garage, it's a detached garage with a long driveway. But the last two homes are newer vintage homes, and they sit at the 50 feet. When you get to the corner of Passaic and Morris, that house is an older home, and the garage sticks out, so it's about 25 feet off the street. So,
If I could ask a question, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, because I thought I heard you say for lot 1602, the new home lot, the front yard setback was going to be 25 feet, but it's listed at 26.4.
that's just the placement of the house. We're really requesting at 25 feet. I'm going to put my surveyor's hat on. It's hard.
See, told you.
We can stake out a house at 25 feet. It's not going to necessarily always get built at 25 feet because, you know, with our tapes and things that we have as surveyors, the guy who's laying it out's got a 25-foot tape or maybe a 100-foot tape with some cuts and breaks in it that he's taped together. So we try to get a half a foot to a foot of free area, so to speak, so that they do twist the house or go a little bit forward.
Simple point being, you're asking for 25, not 26.4, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine. Certainly could be amended at this time.
Yes. The other variances, well, actually, we complied to the side yard, we complied to the rear yard, we complied to the rear yard setback. And this house or proposed lot development is under the 25% coverage.
And where are we exactly? Or as exact as we can be at this point?
23.
All right.
23.
I didn't,
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I think it's 23 something.
23.8.
So we haven't designed it right up to, 24.99. There's some leeway in there.
No, we didn't design it all the way up there, and it already has a terrace, so it has some sort of outdoor space in the rear of the house.
But if we were to include a detached garage, not only would you have the coverage afforded by that building, but then you would have a long driveway presumably having to get to it, and we'd be substantially over on coverage. Is that fair to say?
That would be fair to say, yes. Now, when we put this lot development together for the proposed new house, there is a storm drainage system at the corner of Morris Street and Main Avenue. And knowing that the soils are poor in Sterling, it's a clay soil, and dry wells don't work very well in clay, or they don't work at all, we were proposing to put an easement across the existing house lot, 16.01, and in that we would take the roof leaders and pipe them down to the inlet at the corner of Main and Morris. So that's what we did regarding stormwater management, because it's just not going to work here. So we're planning on piping the roof leaders to to the inlet, and then it would go through the system down to the river. I think that's the plan.
Put your planner's hat on.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, before you do, there was a report from our engineer. Has everything?
Okay.
I'm sorry, yes, I did mean to do that report first, and then Ms. Laney's later.
Do you want to get through it and then we'll get into it? Or,
I just figured before you switch from engineering.
No,
to planning-
that's actually the way I had it, and I just missed it.
So-
Sorry. Mr. Hollows, you reviewed Mr. Vucci's report? is
I
that
did.
correct? Okay. Would you just, if,
And just so if the board were to approve this, we would file deeds for for each lot, and also the deed would include the proposed drainage easement across the house lot.
so, we'll stick on the stormwater subject. So, noted at the beginning of the application was the clarification that the impervious coverage was gonna get further reduced and revised, right? To be closer to the 25. When I ran those numbers, I saw that the total net increase on the combined parent lot was 120 square feet. So I'm going to strike my comments 4.4 and 4.5, while the application in 4.3 is a statement that it is defined as a minor development because of its total disturbance. With my engineering discretion, would consider this de minimis impact on the stormwater and consider it exempt from providing the recharge requirement, specifically for the same reasons noted as the viability, as well as then the good faith efforts of cleaning up the lot coverage in both and providing balanced lots, being only at 120 square feet. So we're talking about the size of a very small shed in increase on the total property. I am also in support of making a connection to the catch basin in the street. The lot itself, the proposed new lot, does drain shallow towards Morris, and then again, Morris being relatively flat towards that corner. So making a direct connection allows that water to ensure it gets into that system and below grade and not flooding into any of the streets, where that water would more likely pond in Morris before it has the ability to get out to the basins. So keeping Morris high and dry, so to speak, from the impacts of the.
Morris and Main, the corner of Morris.
Exactly. So it's the catch basin on Main Avenue, not on Morris. So it's to keep it inside the parent lot and 1601, and then connecting at that location
Through the easement.
through the easement. Correct. And 4.6 was for a discussion regarding the propensity of these roof leader discharges directly to the main avenue curb cuts. So in your experience in this area and developing this area, you find that to be relatively common?
Yes.
Yeah. So the existing structure does have roof leaders that discharge that area. So, and again, main avenues draining into Main and then finding its way into the catch basins, there's no need to modify the existing configuration, but promoting the new home direct connection is the most practical way to manage the stormwater coming off that lot in any relative detriments that might come into Morris or to the neighboring property. And really, that's it. I'm gonna make a
The rest are
recommendation.
just conditions.
Yeah, rest are stipulated conditions,
Well, there are conditions.
to be stipulated.
Yeah.
Mr. Hollows,
Can we
do we
hear whether they're
stipulate to the
stipulated or not?
conditions?
Yes.
That's basically 3.1 through 3.6, 4.1, and 4.7 through 5.2.
Correct.
On
So,
Mr.,
well, let's just
Gordon's-
clarify 3.2. I didn't see a reference to a noted survey on the set. Is the survey inclusive of the set? As
No,
being
we
stipulated?
actually have a separate
Okay.
survey.
So
I
that'll
will
just, yeah, so
refer to
that'll just
that.
be stipulated in a note revision. Yep. and I'm satisfied.
Planners have?
Planners have.
Planners have.
Skip back and start with that. Mr. Hollows, I'm going to ask you a few questions that are designed to get us what we need in terms of planning, if you would assist
Okay.
me with that. You've indicated that your license as a professional planner is in good standing this evening, correct?
Correct.
Since we are seeking a subdivision that we don't have to do, we can't exactly go for a C1, so we're going to be talking about a C2. Is that accurate?
That would be accurate.
Okay, so under the flexible criterion, we're looking for benefits that outweigh the detriments.
I'm sorry, just so I'm clear, I might have missed it. The recognition that it can only be a C2 as opposed to a C1 is because any hardship would be self-created by virtue of the subdivision of the conforming lot?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
At least as the nonconformities that we're creating. Obviously, there's some that pre-exist that just aren't really, we're
Only
not
the
seeking
new
variances in the first place, so. Mr. Hollis, looking at the benefits, in your professional opinion as a licensed planner, would replacing the existing deteriorating accessory buildings with a new single-family home promote public health, safety, morals, general welfare in pursuant of the purpose A under
Yeah, I think
5B-2?
the fact that we're taking down something that's going to fall down, not in probably the near future, and putting up something new that's attractive is certainly meets that criteria.
And I realize you're not an architect, but we did hear architectural testimony as to the condition of the existing buildings. Based upon that, would you agree that raising those buildings does provide safety benefits and removing a danger that we have at this point?
I don't have to be an architect to know that. Just take a look at it, and I guess that's the engineer's hat. But
Please tell us when you switch hats, please.
And then also focusing on purpose C, in your professional opinion, would replacing these two buildings with a single modest-sized home provide adequate light, air, and open space on the property?
yes, it would. We meet the side yards. We meet the streetscape as far as the front yard setback, and we meet the rear yard setback.
Focusing on purpose E, in your professional opinion, would enabling a senior citizen couple to continue to live in their home of almost 40 years while having their daughter and her family living on an adjacent lot promote the establishment of appropriate population densities and concentrations, contributing to their well-being and to that of their neighbors and the community in general?
Yes, I think that's very good thing to do.
And focusing on purpose I, do you believe that removing the two deteriorated and I think by all accounts unsightly accessory buildings at this point, replacing the same with an attractive new home that would complement other homes in the surrounding neighborhood, do you believe that would promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement?
Yes, I do. And again, trying to meet the streetscape of Morris Street with an attractive home on it.
And then finally, do you believe the proposal of adding a new home to the street would serve to assisting conservative property values and improving the housing stock of the neighborhood, which is deemed by our Supreme Court as being a purpose of land use under Home Builders League versus Township of Berlin, 81 New Jersey, 127, 1979?
Yes, I do.
Let's focus on the detriments. Given the dimensions of the other lots in the immediate neighborhood and the size, scale, and designs of the homes situated on them, do you see any detriment resulting from the project that would not be outweighed by the benefits you've already discussed?
No, I think I've gone through that, trying to talk about the neighborhood and the size of the lots, and you know, we're kind of just a little bit under that kind of average of 8960. We're at 7920, and then a 10,000 square foot lot really kind of matches the other lots in the neighborhood. So I don't think if you drove down Morris Street, you would know whether the lot size of any of the lots, whether it be 8960 or whether it be 10,000 or whether it be 7920. You know, you're going to, I think the width is really the thing that you're going to see, and I think the setback, again, matching the streetscape is an important element.
And do you see any detriment arising from there not being a single-car garage on this particular property?
No, because again, when you drive down Morris Street, especially on this side, because these are the older homes, and the garages are in the back, and sometimes you really have to look to see the garage. You see the driveway going off, but you don't see the garage. So I don't think that it would be really. And most of the garages that I see are smaller type garages. They're probably used more for storage than they are for the cars, and because they just aren't big enough with today's cars. So.
And obviously, the benefit that you've already discussed of not having the additional coverage that would be created by a detached garage itself plus a long driveway to get to it.
Yeah, we probably would be 30 or over if we put that in.
And then just focusing on the negative criteria, do you believe that these variances can be granted without any substantial detriment to the public good?
I do, again, and that has to do with the fact that both of the lots really kind of fit the neighborhood. There's no question in my mind.
And as well, no substantial detriment to the purpose of the zone plan or the zoning ordinance that you could see?
No.
All right. Thank you. Have you had occasion to review Ms. Lehaney's report?
I have.
Okay. Could you take us through that, unless she'd like to take you through it, whichever works for the two of you?
I don't think I have any items there.
No, I just have a couple of questions. Okay. Can you just go over again how big the driveways are on each of the lots?
I have them as 18 feet
18 feet wide?
wide.
Okay, and what's the depth?
I said 20.
I'm sorry, 1601 from Morris, from Main Avenue is 20 feet, did you say?
That's what I earlier testified to. I just scaled it at 22.
22.
18 feet wide by 22 feet deep.
I just want to make sure we're getting on the record which one you're talking about.
I'm sorry, both of the lots, 1601 and
Oh,
1602.
well, that 1601 from Main Avenue was 22 feet depth, and then are you coming up with the same one on, for 1602 off Mars Street?
They're both
Yeah.
off
They're
Morris.
both off Mars Street.
Yeah, they both come off of
I'm
Morris.
sorry, both come off Mars, my bad. Okay, but you got the same 22 feet for both?
Yes.
Mr. Hollis, just to be clear, those measurements are from the property line, not from the macadam, right?
Yes, correct. They're from the right-of-way line.
And there's no sidewalk, right?
There is no sidewalk.
So, are you familiar with RSIS?
Yes.
Do you know what the dimensions are for if to be counted, garage spaces to be counted as 1.5 or 2 spaces? Do you know what those dimensions are?
Not top of my head.
Okay, well, they're 18 by 20. So that's just, I guess, in a sense, you're consistent with RSIS minus at the actual garages. So I guess the question I would ask you is, do you think then this is a better zoning alternative to not have the garages vis-a-vis like impervious coverage and maybe streetscape, whatever, consistency of the streetscape? Do you think that then this is a better zoning alternative?
I do, because you've got the new home. It's going to look like, to me, it's going to look like the other homes on the south side. The north side's a little bit different, other than right across the street, there's a canopy with a bunch of parking spaces under the canopy, which is different than anything else in the area. But I think that what we're proposing fits Morris Street.
And obviously, if you were to add garages, the impervious coverage would go up by another,
At least 5%.
okay. And it's 2 variances, right? In my letter, I only put there was 1 variance, but it's 2 because both lots are not going to have garages, right?
Yeah, although on 1601, it's an existing condition.
But it's not.
We're not constructing.
It's not an existing condition. You have a garage.
Well, yeah, okay. I'll buy that. Since we don't actually use it as a garage, I didn't really think about it, but yeah, that, Mr. Hollis, you would agree with that also?
Yes.
Okay, so we should add that as a 7th.
To just, an additional variance.
Can you just clarify what you just
Okay, so you need, our ordinance requires that you need to have in this zone, you need to have a garage for up to for one-car garage. What I put in my letter, and I think what Mr. Zelli noted, was that the new house wouldn't have a garage, and so that variance was required. The existing lot currently does have a garage. It's not used as a garage, but they have one. But they're removing it. And so technically, really, they need the same variance because even if they weren't using it to park cars, they did have one. So they need to get variance relief for that. Exactly.
So the no minimum single-car garage for the lot variance is required for each of the two
Correct.
lots, the 1601 and the proposed lot 1602.
And is it expected, I know you mentioned that the applicant currently parks on Morris Street, but people could park on the driveways, right?
Presently or as proposed?
Yeah, either way.
I mean, certainly we've proposed parking for 4 vehicles total between the two lots, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Nothing
That's it.
further for Mr. Hollows with any of his hats.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to the planning board. Any questions? We'll start to my far right. Mr. L.
I always get to go first, huh?
Yes.
Well, you answered some of my questions. I was curious about why the two lots were not just sized equally to match a lot of the neighborhood, and your explanation makes sense to me, to make the 100 by 100 lot to get closer to 25% coverage, which makes sense. So that was one of my questions. And then Joe kind of answered my other question about the runoff going across the property to the drain and why you would do that as opposed to just letting it run off the property normal. And he gave me a good explanation for that. So those were my two primary questions. I wondered a little bit about the stone front because most of the houses in that neighborhood are not constructed that way, but the architect described his thought process behind doing it a little bit different. So that was more curiosity than a concern. So that were questions I had.
Thank you.
Oh, there was one other. You said no trees were going to come down, and I thought there was one that would be almost right where the parking space on the new lot would be, but if you're saying it's not in that parking space.
We show it colored in, it's
That's
right,
the green spot, huh?
yeah, that's the green spot. And I could slide that over
Yeah.
if
we
need
could-
be.
To keep the tree, okay.
We just kept it in line with the house, but we could actually move it over.
So the green is the canopy.
Yes.
Right.
Of the tree, right, okay.
Next.
Most of my questions also got answered, how many parking spaces, and there's the 4. I just wanted to clarify also that there is no overnight parking between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. anywhere in town. That's my interpretation of the ordinance, so you can't park on Morris Street or Main Avenue, but with 4 spots, if you feel that's sufficient for your cars. Between the two households, the existing and the new. I'm going to make the assumption that this is not in conflict with our current sewer capacity ban, that we can accommodate this additional dwelling.
Yeah, so the additional dwelling would, with the new created lot, would characterize under one of the NJAC exemptions in the sewer ban exemption list.
So there is enough
So
capacity.
they'll have the ability to speak with American Water and have service to the property.
And so that's coming down the road.
And hopefully by the time they ask for that,
Yeah,
they won't even
October.
have to ask for the ban,
Yeah.
because we are on track.
Trees, that was the other thing, but you went through that. And the township has no plans to construct any curbing on Morris Street that we know of?
Nothing
We,
I'm aware of.
no, we don't have any current plans for improvements on Morris in that block.
That's all I had, thank you.
Yeah,
Ms.
I
Gill?
also didn't have any questions as of now. You answered most of them. I also thank you for bringing the color-coded, it helps visualize, because I was trying to figure out the driveways, and so this helped perfectly. That was my only question.
Thank you.
No
Mr.
questions.
Abner?
Nope, thank you. Great information.
Thank you very much. Yep, you went through all my questions. The driveway, there's asphalt?
Yes.
Proposes
And even if it was
asphalt?
gravel, it would still count the same as impervious coverage.
Yeah, just trying to get a picture of what's going to be seen from the street. Thanks for that. Answered all my other questions. That's why I waited for everyone to go ahead and speak. Regarding the significance of the barn, I know you're a new member of HPAC, but there is no historical value nod for the barn. I would lack, or not think that the garage was the barn.
Well, first of all, it's not in the workers' village. We're too far down. It's outside the workers' village. I'm not speaking for the advisory committee here. I'm speaking for myself. But we.
Architectural hat is on.
It appears that it's always been part of a residence. And I don't believe there's any.
When you say part of a residence, you mean someone was living in there at one point, or just part of the existing footprint for the main house that's on the?
I feel like it's always been an accessory to a residence, and it wasn't like a blacksmith shop or a general store or anything of that nature. No, I don't. No, we don't believe it was commercial at all. But otherwise, we don't have any firm history of the building.
Okay. Thank you. That takes me through my questions, and the board members, do you have any?
I don't know if Joe had any, I just wanted to defer
Yeah.
first.
No, you guys let me go first. I think we're
I know you
good.
went on the engineer, I don't know if you had any planner or.
No, why would I step
you
in
went on-
somebody
yeah.
else's lane?
I know, come on.
Well, it doesn't slow me down any, Mr. Chairman.
You want me to? You want me to do the attorney's summary?
There's a fine line between planning criteria and law, right? And they kind of, that one comes from the other. So this is a corner lot, and there are at least two other lots of the same size or larger. One of them happens to be a corner lot right across the street, correct?
That's correct.
And do you derive any intention or pattern from the corner lots being larger than the interior lots along Main Avenue? Mr. Hollis, we should probably, in connection with that, note that the corner lot across the street was recently created to be a much larger lot. It was created out of 3 smaller lots that another mutual client has now merged and consolidated. So that was not that big a lot, now is.
It was actually 3 lots.
Proper noted, and I'm sure it helped the witness answer the question, but go ahead.
No, actually, that's correct. In fact, we appeared before the zoning board 2 times for this building. Once for a facade change to make the building look a little bit more attractive, and the second time was to, he's got some empty rental space that have been, now is going to be converted to residential space.
Both applications,
both-
actually.
both,
Both
yeah.
applications took it to more residential.
And at that time, I think the first application, it was to be merged as 1 lot. And then the second application was actually done. The deed was recorded, a deed of consolidation was recorded for that lot. But that's the only one in this area. You've got, again, the smaller lots going north on Main Avenue. And you can tell when you look at the houses that they're the older homes that were here for quite some time.
Along Main, you're talking.
Along Main, yes.
Or they
And
were
what,
subdivided over time. Some of it might have been subdivided.
Well, they were, I think they sold these in 50-foot increments way back when. And then the smaller homes like on Morris, and if you go up there, you can see that there's some smaller homes, and then you got a double lot. He was feeling flush, so he decided, I'm going to buy two rather than one. But you know, the houses are on, quite a few of them are on the smaller lots, and you can see the vintage of the house compared to some of the newer ones on the street. Again, and they get pushed back, the newer ones. That's again why we want to hold up to that 25-foot on Morris Street.
And the two proposed lots from the original lot, what would be the lot depth for each lot? And I suspect they'll be the same.
Yeah, the first one's 100 by 100, and then the second one, the depth is 100 feet because that's how wide the lot
So
is.
these are 100-foot depth. Do you have any idea what the average depth of the lots along either Main or Morris in this neighborhood? I'm gonna call the neighborhood the 200-foot property owners list. What the average is?
No, I don't have that.
Some of them are 100, some of them are 179.
Almost two.
According to the 1897 map, the lots on the west side going north are 179 feet deep.
179
So they match up with our lot.
They,
Going north across the street on Morris, going towards the railroad, they're 179.2 feet.
That's why we
And
described
how
it as a double lot. It's a double lot from the perspective of Maine. Too long.
And then you
Right,
you can
but
carry
we're-
that down south too to
right, but we're
Mercer.
splitting it in a different direction. We're
Correct.
Splitting it down the middle and making two
north-
narrower
which-
lots. We're making two wider lots with less depth, correct?
Which mirrors the Main and Mercer corner
Does it mirror the?
in the lot widths of 100 and then 79.
Right, but what are the lot depths of those two on Main and Mercer that have less depth than the other ones on Mercer?
One's
They
100.
Still have more than
100 and 100, and then the other's 150.
150 each?
No, the corner is 100 and 100, like the proposed
see, 'cause there's a
1601.
short lot
Because there's
there.
the 50-foot lot there, but then the other is that extra 50 deep. so
Would it be
150.
fair to say that the corner of Mercer and Main, the southwest corner of Mercer and Main, is the only other lot with a depth of only 100 feet?
That's lot 22.
Yes,
Well,
lot 22, yeah.
21 and 22 have a depth of 100 feet.
Oh, yeah, 21 does as well.
The rest have significantly more than that depth?
Well, these other lots, going south from our PQ would be 179.2. But again, they're 50 feet wide. They're not 100 feet.
Understood, narrower but longer.
Yes.
The the existing home and the location of the proposed dwelling on 1602, are there any issues, I'll ask an open-ended question, with respect to the fact that they're not aligned, and specifically visually, one lot is going to be looking at another's backyard, and while the board, as it well knows, grants variance relief, it doesn't do so for a specific duration or for specific occupants of a specific home. Once the relief is granted, down the road, one day perhaps, no one with the same last name as the applicant may own both homes. Does that present any issues from your perspective as a planner?
I don't think so, because it's greater than 35 feet from the new proposed property line to the back of the house that faces on Main. And there's enough space in there that you could put some landscaping for screening. It's not like there's no space. You've got quite a bit of space to do it.
So, from your perspective, landscape and/or other buffering and screening can be provided to minimize any potential detriment from the offsetting, so to speak, of the two homes? Because generally, am I correct, people prefer not to have other people looking at their backyards and what have you?
Yeah, I think, well, again, you can put a fence up, you can put screening in that space, and it's still a pretty good size area.
So don't we have the backyards looking at each other, which is what you would have on parallel streets anywhere?
That's
It's
kind
just,
of what you would get when you own
Yeah, I guess you get the juxtaposed, oftentimes corner lots end up having side yards as their backyard.
understood. What
So,
I'm
yeah,
saying is,
sometimes-
we don't in this situation. We have from the back of the existing home, you're looking at the backyard of the new home. From the back of the
That's true.
new home, you look at the backyard.
It's
Yeah.
not fronting Morris. The
Yeah.
driveway is coming from Morris,
Correct.
Right.
but the house is fronting Main.
It's actually situated pretty well.
Yeah,
the rear
yeah.
yards
No,
are-
I'll take that back. It threw me off with the driveway.
Joys and challenges of a corner lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The, nothing further.
Thank you. I will now turn it to questions from the public, to anything that has been identified. Anyone from the public? I heard a yes. Oh, behind her. Come on up. Maybe if you could just state your name and street address for the record when you get the microphone.
Marilyn Schreiber. I live at 348 Main Avenue, Sterling.
Okay. And do you have questions
I do.
first? Okay, and then I'll swear you in later if and when you have comments.
I haven't heard if there's going to be a basement on this house.
The questions would have to be for the witnesses,
Oh.
so they could answer them.
All right, so,
Mr. Caputo, if you would.
You can hear me,
Be
Do
boisterous.
you have another mic, Deb?
It's not gonna reach. It's not gonna reach it.
Yeah, just share.
Deb, you don't have another handheld mic?
No.
Just pass back and forth.
We'll pass back and forth. Okay.
Nice.
This is a short answer. We're going for a full basement.
oh,
Full basement because of the elevation of the lot. We don't have flood concerns. Is that all?
Can you switch the mics back and forth?
I live at 348 Main.
Are we done with the question? Now you wish to make a comment?
It's downhill from the new.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to God or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay. I have an issue with water now at my house. I'm lower than this proposed house. I've lived here for 60 years, and up until just maybe 5, 6 years ago, I rarely had any water coming into my basement. Sometimes, when we had a 100-year flood or something, I'd get some seepage. Several years ago, a tiny house on Main Avenue was enlarged to about 4 or 5 times its original size. I believe it's the house next to yours, I don't know. Since then, I have been having water coming into my basement with any heavy rain. It's becoming a real problem. Number one, I'm getting older and it's harder for me to control it. I now have to put what they call quick dam bags on the side of my house, inside, to contain any water that's coming in. And I'm afraid that with this house having a full basement, it's only going to exacerbate the problem for me.
Exactly. Where on that map is your house?
All right, here's Mercer. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. It's lot 20.
Lot 20?
Mr. Hollows, if you could borrow the microphone for a second, I think we can address Ms. Schreiber's concern. we are capturing certainly all roof water. Is the construction of a basement likely to create any kind of problem?
I don't see that, and most likely we would have a sump pump in there that would get piped into this, our proposed piping through the easement. But we're collecting all the water from the roof of this house. And right now, the barn and the other garage, they just come down on the ground and go actually in a southerly, downhill in a southerly direction. That will no longer be the case. We will have all the roof leaders connected to a pipe that will go into the storm drainage system that's on Main Avenue.
So it's going into the street storm sewers?
The street storm sewers. So
Would you classify
from us,
that
we
as
would
a-
have less.
That's an improvement.
We would have less runoff from our property going in the southerly direction towards your property.
But the basement itself displaces water where water can go.
Well, we're going to have
Are
some
you
pump.
proposing or planning to put a sump pump? So if there is any water that is being displaced from the bathtub of the basement, that can potentially fill the sump pump that would now be pushed and discharged to the stormwater mitigation that you're planning to do with the.
That would be the plan. I mean, I would recommend it to anyone in this area to have a sump pump.
What we don't know is with the new house that you mentioned, since that was built, we don't know if there was a sump pump put in that building when its basement was created or modified or whatever. And that's when you noticed that you started seeing water.
As soon as that house was built, the first.
You're doing
thing
deduction,
rain
yeah,
started noticing.
yeah.
I mean, they have a full basement. When we,
Where's that house on that map, the one that you're referring to?
I believe
Yeah, this is yours.
Yeah,
this is
so-
mine, all right, it's not this one, then it has to be this.
That's right next to Mr. Giordano's residence.
Lot 18?
18.
Lot 18, yes.
We would have no objection to a condition of approval, providing that we do outfit the basement with sump pumps.
Got it already.
That's going to solve the problem. It's going to displace a large part of dirt in the ground. I'm not worried about rainwater.
Can you give her the mic?
The impervious.
Is it picking it up, Deb?
I'm worried about the
It is,
groundwater, the water table in that area. Any little thing changes it. I mean, for 50 years, I had no problem. And now I have a big problem, and I'm getting older. I can't, this is getting tougher for me to contain the water that's coming into my house. Just a point of interest, the two houses on the corner of Mercer and Main, when they were fairly recently built, they don't have basements. They weren't permitted to have basements. And when we put in a garage, a detached garage to our house, we were not permitted to pave in front of it because of the groundwater issue.
Groundwater or impervious lot coverage? Was it the lot coverage that was the concern, and that's why you couldn't?
I can't answer that.
Yeah, we
I
don't
just
have that
know we
policy.
weren't permitted to do it.
Are any, Mr. Hollows, are any of those properties in the flood zone?
The one on the corner might be.
When you say the one on the corner,
I'm
which
sorry,
Mercer.
Mercer.
Mercer and Main.
Mercer, Main, lot 22.
So is it fair to say that you would not construct a basement in a flood zone?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So is your ask that they not construct
A basement.
rather on a slab?
What knowledge do you have of the approvals and basement of the house next to the applicant's house? I just want to make sure.
I don't understand what you're asking me.
So you're making a statement about the house next to the applicants, and I just want to make sure that all of this information is correct, because I think we're all trying to think about what was approved and what was discussed when that addition and basement was built, but we don't know. And are you, like, how are you aware that there's a basement there that maybe takes up the whole property? I'm just curious how you know, or what, not how you know, but what you know.
Well, I know the size of the house is far greater than it was initially. It was a tiny little 100-year-old house or even older, and now it's a very large house. I don't know how I know there's a basement, other than people have talked about it, because it's affected other people, and then it affected my other neighbor.
I think I think we're all trying to hear you, and I'm just trying to figure out, it's hard to make a decision based on not knowing whether the basement is actually causing the issue.
But you would have the record of that, right? Whether that house has a basement.
I don't
No,
know.
the planning board wouldn't have a record, and also, we don't know as of yet, unless somebody happens to know, whether that was part of a land use board approval, or what, or that home, or whether it was just a permit that was derived from, just from a building permit or something. We don't know.
I'm not
That's why
trying
we're
to say
having
you're
the
not
hearing.
having an issue. I'm just trying to
No,
make sure that
I can't answer that
No,
question.
it's okay. I'm just trying to make sure that the issue that you're having would actually even be resolved by this. That's all I'm.
Okay.
Or impacted by it.
Right.
And the board can only operate with the evidence before it.
Am I allowed?
Talk to your attorney.
Since you're not an engineer either, I'm going to advise you not to.
Perhaps this will help. So, Mr. Hollows, the proposed mitigation includes sump pump for discharging the displaced groundwater from a basement, as well as then the all roof leaders, so the majority of the impervious coverage created on the lot, both of those combined discharging to the sewers.
That would be correct.
So, you confident in the statement that there will be a significant reduction in infiltration of stormwater runoff on the property that would adversely affect the groundwater table of the neighbors?
Yes, because we have two structures that just the roof leader, well, it comes down, it's just splash block, or just goes on the ground, and then will go in a southerly direction towards Valley Road.
Is that
No.
another way of saying that there's going to be less water runoff as opposed to the same or more?
Yes,
So less overland runoff, as well as then less infiltration and influence to the groundwater table
correct,
than the current condition.
correct.
Just out of interest, when you create the bathtub of the basement, is there a crushed stone up against the wall of the basement? And the reason why I'm asking that is if water, however disturbed, will have a pathway to get to the sump pump and actually pull more water away from the property, as opposed to just letting the water just get displaced because there's nowhere for it to go.
There is a gravel bed underneath the house. And what a lot of builders do is they actually run perforated pipe around the perimeter of the outside, and then they pipe it inside to where the sump pump pit is, and then it
Is that with a
discharges.
French drain also in the basement? Does that include a French drain in the basement?
Sometimes, yes. But the sump pump pit itself is lower than goes lower than the gravel.
I think we all know that Long Hill has a challenge when it comes to floodwater. So we're trying to do the best we can with the information that we have to try and get a solution that doesn't worsen your current situation. And I think that's what we're trying to problem solve here.
I can be sympathetic because I didn't get water in my basement until a couple years ago. And the water is not necessarily coming from the sky, it's coming from the water table. It's
Vice
coming
Chair?
from the ground up. So all the gutters and leaders that on the two bigger houses next to me didn't solve the problem of the water coming up from the bottom. So I hear what you're saying.
I mean, as of, I didn't look today, but 2 days ago, there was water sitting on top of municipal water in my backyard. It's not, wasn't being absorbed.
We're having biblical rain of the last
Yeah,
2 weeks.
yeah.
It's been
And the
just-
soil is
and
not
there's more rain
forgiving.
coming.
Can you do a sump pump and forgive me, can you do a sump pump and a French drain? Does that help?
The French drain creates the conduit for the water to move around the foundation, not create hydrostatic pressure. And the sump pump is then essentially connected to that drain system, so it can, once the water gets to the pump, it then creates a siphoning effect to pull the
So
rest
you
of it
can
out.
do both.
They complement each other.
Usually you do both.
Is that an option?
Okay.
Complement each other, yes.
And the leaders. Okay.
So you're relieving the pressure underneath the slab with the sump pump, but then by having the French drains and connecting it to the sump area, you're allowing relief of pressure from the sidewalls as well.
And also the perforated pipe around the outside.
Helps, yeah,
And then
improve
where
that
is the,
circulation.
where is the water traveling once the sump pump captures it specifically?
So then that's going to as proposed to the connection in our main avenue sewer,
Right,
Okay,
through the easement.
So it's going to Main Avenue to the storm drains?
to the back of the storm drain,
And
right?
passing all that houses below?
And then, you're right, so,
Okay.
and then it'll eventually flow out to our outfalls without impact back into the groundwater system.
So it's fair to say right now that the accessory buildings, that old barn, which is actually pretty big, is currently dumping water into the property, which is just making its way
Correct.
down through the properties now. And with these two buildings, they're going to be capturing the water, some pumping it out to Main. Is it fair to say that
Correct.
you're going to have less of a problem, that you're going to be alleviating the pressure on the properties below?
Yes, and that was the line of questioning I asked with Mr.
Thank you.
Hollows as well, correct.
And maybe
I
Mr.
just-
Caputo can answer some of
I just
this
wanted to
as well.
confirm, that's what the building code requires as well. It requires waterproofing to make it a tub, a line of crushed gravel, and then drain tile around the entire uphill side. And the point is to take any net water and relieve the pressure from both the sides and below.
We got a stipulation that the building code would have taken care of anyway, perhaps, but still good to get it.
The lot that was being discussed with the improvements a few years ago, 338, neighboring to the subject lot, I was looking through aerial historic imagery. Approximately 2018, summer of 2018 was when that construction commenced and was completed by the end of the year. Looks like the dwelling increased, more than doubled in size at that time. And so it would be reasonable to have seen an increase in the stormwater runoff that then was allowed to then infiltrate and then impact the groundwater in the area. So as we look at this proposal, we look to shed that water and get it into our storm system so that it's not a detriment to any of the specific neighbors.
And it is, to the best of your knowledge, the storm management pipes along Main Street are in good working order.
Correct. Yeah, and what you see commonly along Main Avenue, we were discussing earlier with these curb cuts that have pipe penetrations, that's a mixed bag of roof leaders or sump pumps directly. More commonly, they're at some point in the property, the sump pump is connecting to them as well. So if a property does have the sump pump, there's usually nowhere to alleviate that water as it discharges outside of your foundation. It then recirculates back, and you're just playing a game with the pump.
Recycle.
So getting it out to the street is something we have to be cautious of as a township because we don't want to create icing conditions. That's why when there's an opportunity to connect directly to the catch basin, it's more advantageous.
So hopefully this project's not contributing to the challenges that you're seeing.
Am I understanding that, I am looking into this is just a question,
Yeah.
because I'm not understanding what you're saying. The French drain can be, the runoff from the French drain will go into the sewer system?
On the proposed home,
or any home, because I thought that's not permitted.
Stormwater sewer system.
Stormwater, not sewer system.
Not the
Stormwater.
sewer.
Yeah, so the storms, for the storm sewer system, yes.
So where's this? All right, the reason I'm asking this is because I'm looking into a French drain, and I was under the impression that it could not go towards the street. It had to discharge to the back.
So it should discharge to the rear. If there was an opportunity for a connection to a catch basin along your frontage, then that could be reviewed for approval.
Okay.
And in this case, that's specifically why they're creating the easement, is to provide that access to that corner catch basin without crossing other third-party property.
So they're much closer to the catch basin, which is why they're.
So, all right, okay.
So when I put on my other hat, since we're wearing hats today, everybody, right? When I put on my other hat as township engineer, the concern for an application to seek relief from your sump pump discharging towards the front would be that water's going to go into the gutter line, and it's going to create an issue in the winter during freezing and create unsafe conditions. So one of the alternatives is if a direct connection to a catch basin, which
Okay.
is only really afforded when there's a structure in front of the property.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps you, and this project doesn't contribute. But do you have any other questions? Or any-
No, but, I mean, all right, I don't
Anyone
know.
else from the public? Sorry, anything else before I go to someone?
Well, I guess I was hoping there might be the possibility of not having a full base, or any basement in the house you're proposing.
We'll take that under
Okay,
advisement.
okay,
for
thank
sure,
you.
Definitely. Any other member? Is this a question or testimony?
A comment.
Okay, well, you want to swear him in?
Yep.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to God or affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. So
Thank
help
you.
me God.
Please give us your name and address as well.
Okay. My name's George Deppner, 1968 Valley Road, Millington. And I would just like to make a comment about the situation. I think he should be able to do what he wants to do with his property, and I think we should find a way to ease her concerns about her property. Now, my experiences are varied over my years, and I think the engineer can probably provide a drawing showing that there's 10 inches of gravel underneath the floor, and that the floor is a floating floor with a French drain around the outside of the perimeter of the foundation, so that all the water will indeed go to the French drain and the pump, and then go out into the curb cut, so that it won't impact your property as much as you think it may happen. Now, I've seen this done before, and it's worked many times, but it requires, a little bit of drawing and a little bit of extra stone and stuff, which I'm sure everybody can manage to work through that. And another thing is when the hole is dug for the foundation, in this type of soil, there's a high loam content, and it's very clay-like. So as the excavator's digging the pit, or for the tub out, for the foundation, it can't be sheared. It has to be pulled. Because when you dig through a heavy loam soil straight down, the side of the bucket creates a clay barrier that will impede the flow of water. So when the excavator digs this hole, and this should be done at the same time when the initial inspections for the foundation is done, is that the side is dug open with the bucket. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about because, So I just
Essentially,
wanted to
you-
offer this opinion up to try to help smooth things over because I think he has a right, and it sounds like it's a good plan for his house. And, her concerns need to be addressed. And I think that really, in my opinion, would allay your concerns, and it's not that much more of a cost onto the construction. That's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Any other members of the public? Seeing none, I'll
Oh, wait,
Wait.
oh, I don't know if he's just letting him sit down.
Letting them sit down, yeah. All right, so I'll close the comment and question from the public.
You want me to
Any
tee it up?
other- Just about, any other questions from any other testimony or anything that we've heard? Hearing none, do you want to give us a summation?
Sure, well,
I'm
I'm sorry,
sorry.
actually,
You give
maybe
your
Mr.
report,
Zelli wants
and
to
then he
actually,
does
no,
the
it's a good point, we should let him go first.
All right,
I'll do the quick version.
complete, quick version.
We're dealing with a C2 variance for all 7 now variances. Purposes A, C, E, and I are satisfied, we believe, in terms of the benefits, as well as the general benefit of improving the housing stock and conserving property values. We don't see any detriment, and likewise, under the negative criteria, we really don't see any detrimental effect, let alone substantial detrimental effect to the zone plan or to the public good. So we believe that even with these 7 variances, this is a good project. It represents sound planning purposes. We thank you for hearing us this evening, and we'd appreciate a positive vote.
Thank you. Mr. Hollis, could you just do me a favor and just take down that sign so we can see everybody? Thank you.
The whistle is wet, I'm ready to go, Mr. Chairman. So, as I understand it, this is an application for a minor subdivision, 1 lot to 2 for single-family dwellings, and 7 bulk variances, a lot area variance for proposed lot 1601 of 10,000 square feet versus 20,000 square feet minimum lot area, a lot area variance for lot 16.02, proposed 7,920 square feet versus a 20,000 square foot lot area minimum. Lot width variance for lot 1602, 79.2 feet lot width versus 100-foot lot width minimum. Front yard setback for proposed lot 1602, 25 feet proposed front yard setback, whereas 50 feet minimum is required. Lot coverage for proposed lot 1601 of 26.65% versus 25% maximum permitted. And the final 2 variances, no single-car garage provided for either of the 2 proposed lots, 1601 and 1602. Those are all bulk variances. You heard the arguments with respect, and the planning testimony, and other testimony with respect to the C2 bases. The conditions of approval, should it be a motion to approve, would include all the items listed in the May 8th. Actually, I think there was just one, actually testimonial item listed in May 8th memorandum of our planner, Ms. Lehaney, and all the items listed in the May 9th memo of our engineer. And the only additional condition that I have in my notes, if I'm quickly reviewing them correctly, are the stipulation to install the sump pump in the basement of proposed lot 1602 with French drain and piping associated therewith, notwithstanding the fact that it may be required by the building code nevertheless. I don't think I had any other conditions that were stipulated to, other than the ones in the reports. And it is a majority for passage, and we have 2, 4, 5. 3 out of 5 is my math for passage. If it is a motion to grant, I'll assume it's with all the stipulated 2 conditions.
Just for point of clarity on the sump pump and continued drainage under the property, that is to be connected to the pipe that will take the water through the easement to the stormwater.
So, yeah,
Not to be dropped out into the street or elsewhere on the property.
oh, no, to the drain, the corners of Main and Mars.
Yes.
Or near, the inlet, near the corner of Main and Mars.
Wherever that is. Okay, so at this point, open to discussion. I'll start with Mr. Committeeman Lavender. Anything you would like to raise, or considerations, or even the advisement by one resident whether to have a basement or not?
I'm in favor of as is, as stated.
Stated? You still?
I'm in favor as stated. I'm very sympathetic to the residents' comment, but it's hard to know without having seen or been a part of the previous application, whether there was one or not with the other house on Main Avenue, like what is actually the cause of that. So I can rely on, you know, the expert's testimony that the sump pump, the French drain, and then the leaders would hopefully actually alleviate some of the stormwater issues. So I'm in favor as is also.
Thank you. Ms. Oden?
I'm in favor for the same reasons that Ms. Still gave, I think, with these additional actions to mitigate the groundwater situation for a resident in the area, that it's an appropriate application, and I appreciate her bringing her concerns to light.
Mr. L?
I'm in favor, and I think the steps that were taken and were part of the plan really try to keep, make a better condition than the current condition for this property, which is what we should always be trying to achieve. So I appreciate that fact was taken, or that path was taken.
Thank you. I too am, yes.
Oh, we started with
We
Mr.
started
I'm
with
sorry,
Mr.
my apologies,
That's
we went
right.
all the way.
Yeah, then because he said that I picked on
One,
him last
two,
time.
three, four, that's right, that's right. We only
That's
have
right.
5.
That's right. See? I pay attention. I too am in favor. For one, it is meeting the master plan as we have just made those revisions in 2 years ago. It is taking some, I'll call them unsightly buildings, maybe rather dangerous buildings, and taking them down and putting up what I believe is a home that will enhance the neighborhood, so I can appreciate that. I am extremely sympathetic to the resident that is having water problems, and I am comfortable with what the engineers have said with regards to the mitigating factors and how to remove some of that challenge that we have just in this town alone to hopefully lessen, and hopefully she's actually come away with some information on how to address her issue a little bit better. So I'm in favor of the applicant's proposal. I'm going to, Mr. Giordano, hopefully get you out of the doghouse and say your wife looks very young, and I wish her a happy Mother's Day as well as your daughter. So hopefully you won't have a quiet ride home tonight. So with that, I'd like to see a motion, and then we'll do a second, and then we'll do a vote. Yeah?
Motion to approve as stated by council.
Okay.
Call the roll.
Committeeman Lavender?
Yes.
Ms. Dill?
Yes.
Mr. Lavarerio?
Yes.
Ms. Ogins?
Yes.
Acting Chairman Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Well done.
And I think you can say, what a well-run presentation.
There was one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, does somebody want to bring Mr. Hand back to the?
There he is. He couldn't wait.
I'm home if I were you.
I did not go, I went to,
No problem.
That's good.
All right, we still have business to conduct. So as you're exiting the courtroom, we're going to continue with our business. Number 8, we have the meeting minutes. We have 3 minutes to go through. That's March 25th, April 8th, and April 22nd. We'll start with the latter and work our way forward. For March 25th, excused is Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Opaka, and Mr. Engineer Joe Booch doesn't get to say anything. So, any concerns, questions, amendments for the March 25th minutes? No? No, so it's all in favor, right?
Well, a motion second. all in
Motion
favor.
second.
Motion,
all in
and then
favor.
all in favor.
Make a motion
Do I
to
have a
approve.
motion?
I second
Okay, so it's
for March 25th.
Mr. Lavender and then Mr. Hands. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. April 8th, excuse our same culprits, Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Opaka, and this time Ms. Mahaney doesn't get to say anything. Apologies there. Any amendments, changes, concerns to the minutes for April 8th?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Hand.
And so, part of another comment later. On the second page, ordinance 5625.
I'm sorry, 565?
Yeah, 55 to 625, ordinance. And section 155.
565 or 566?
566.
566,
Five,
okay.
six, six.
You said 565.
You said 565, so which
Yes,
one?
on record. We
Yes.
have it on record.
Which one we talking about?
566. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we need to do a breathalyzer before you do that? Okay.
No, my main point here, and it's going to be a later subject, is that we did discuss altering some aspects of that ordinance.
Do you want to clarify what that alteration?
155.4, there's no reference in the minutes here, so therefore I think it would be worthy of minute recognition.
Okay.
Where we
That
talked
was the one
about
about
the
the fence.
language under the,
Using
without reading the whole thing, but if you remember about the flags and emblems,
Nothing
blah, blah,
different
blah.
from the state.
These regulations shall not apply to flags of the United States of America or to permitted home office uses.
Well, he's talking about
We
the second.
talked about
Striking
striking
it.
that part of the,
Can you just send me that again, David? Then I'll add it to the minutes.
yeah, exactly, so I think it's worth noting
little
because that's
confusing, yeah,
something that we
okay.
said we didn't think was appropriate, and that'll be a conversation later about the township committee and what to do with this particular,
Yeah, we do have an action on the backside of that.
But just for clarification's sake, so that the board can vote on the minutes now, should you wish them to vote on the minutes now, if you could just once more clarify exactly what you're adding to the minutes.
So within the ordinance, right, 155.4, there's a section that talks about flags, emblems, and other insignia of a nation, state, and stuff like that. These regulations shall not apply to flags of the United States of America, so meaning you can have basically as many as you want, that's the way I'll read that, or to permitted home use, home office use. So it just seemed like an odd inclusion in the ordinance to permit home office uses.
And your recollection is that the board decided to recommend striking the portion or permitted home office
That is
use?
correct.
Okay.
As stated.
Right. No, my recollection as well, I just want to make sure.
Yep.
Correct, I think it's
Okay.
worth
Just
doing,
confirming.
adding to the minutes.
Yep, so then now, now the board can vote,
So we
knowing
can
what the
make-
clarification is,
It's a vote.
if that's the only clarification.
Yes, that's fine.
So it's, someone can make a motion with the.
Motion to adopt as amended.
amended.
As amended. Can I have a motion?
To adopt as amended?
I'll make the motion to adopt as amended.
Second?
I second.
Ms. Ogen seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And going to the final. No. April 22nd, minutes, any changes? And only Mr. Mitchell is excused and, well, Mr. Booth as
I have a minor point on this one. Sorry.
well. Go ahead.
Under 8, the review, ORC review.
Oh, I messed up the numbers. Oh, no, I forgot it was out of order, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry, can you do that one again?
Yeah, yeah. Number 8,
On the first page,
on the first page,
Right.
second line, after number 8, Vice Chairman. Minor point, and note the previous proposed changes to 171 regarding name change, update to HVAC. I just think it's worth adding what 171 is. If you look at the
Oh,
price,
so put the title of 171?
yeah, it's land use, it's in the actual,
didn't
it's in the minutes of the previous.
I added it, wait, hold
It's the
on.
full title.
So if you look at the minutes for the other one we just looked at, you do actually have it specified, section 171E.
Yeah, because I had to look it up. Wait, where did I put that?
You put it on the other one in minutes, but
Oh,
not that one.
the one before.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll specify it again on this one.
Yeah, it might be worth just making sure.
Okay.
it's clear, that's all. Right.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve as amended?
And if I may, Joe, just
ahead.
for clarification, since apparently we're doubling them up, that's both for the regular board minutes as well as the executive session minutes
For April 22nd.
that we're voting for April 22nd.
Right.
I'll make a motion to adopt as amended.
Second.
Mr. Lavender? Mr. Lavender,
And just
second.
so, just clarification for everybody, the executive session minutes do not go on the website. They are not
Exactly.
available to the
Correct.
public
Yep.
until after everything is done, said and done with the litigation, and the board attorney Warner approves, everything is said and done.
Correct.
And just also as a point of clarification, I can't approve the executive session minutes.
'Cause
I
you
was
weren't
not
there.
included. Right.
Correct.
Right, so you'll be listed as a partial abstention since we combined them. Next time, we won't combine them.
That's right.
So I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to my favorite topic called the ORC. Why don't we start with the item that's been sent down to us from the TC. This is, or the Township Committee. This is regarding commercial parking in residential zones. It is LU 124.2, garages and parking of commercial vehicles in a single-family residential zone. Before you, you have the worksheet. I'd just like to call out that in the master plan, Chapter 1, Introduction, Section 1.3, Challenges and Opportunities, page 15, item number 11, the following statement is written. A significant number of outdoor storage areas exist for material and construction vehicles. Most are non-conforming uses in both business and residential zones. So if you listen to the Township Committee meeting 2 weeks ago, this was brought up by the mayor as well as Committeeman Veleza. I believe Committeeman Lavender opined on this, as well as Deputy Mayor Pacercia also opined on this. And it's regarding the parking of commercial vehicles. So as it states right now, no commercial vehicle shall be parked outdoors overnight in any single-family residential zone. Not more than one commercial vehicle not exceeding a load capacity of 1.5 tons may be garaged properly according to the bulk standards of each lot in a residential zone, and no commercial vehicle exceeding such loading capacity may be stored or garaged. So the TC has asked us to take a look at this to see how does it conform or is it non-conforming with the master plan, and if there's any recommendations coming from the planning board. So,
Can I just confirm, I'm sorry,
Yes.
because we've talked about garages so many times, this is different.
this is different.
Okay, thank you. We just wanted to
We
make
did
sure.
talk about garages today in the application, yes. There is, in the worksheet, there is a historical, previous ordinances that have changed, the acting ordinance now, so if you wanted to see what those changes were, I did highlight those in yellow, so you can see they're minor changes, mostly wordsmithing through the document. I'll pause there for any comments. I don't know, Committeeman Lavender, if there's anything you want to opine on this.
No, keep going.
Yep, okay. So there are several recommendations that are being presented. One of those is to allow one commercial vehicle on a property in any or all residential zones. It's also to, another recommendation is use weight limit as a guidance, and one of the suggested numbers, I believe, was 10,000, I think it's what, pulling capacity, or 10,000 in weight?
Yeah, so
Thank you.
maybe I should kind of create some parameters here.
Mhm.
And I'll comment first on the existing ordinances, because they are out of date. And in particular, in our code book, there's a definition on what a commercial vehicle is. And apparently, the town attempted to define it with some specious characteristics. We really should be referring to NJSA 1:1, which is the state's definition of what a commercial vehicle is, as opposed to plucking something out of the air. That's the first thing. The second thing is, the current ordinance specifies a loading capacity of 1.5 tons. That's kind of a faulty parameter to go on as well, because loading capacity of pickup trucks changes, models change. Really what we should be looking at is something like gross vehicle weight rating, which is the weight of the vehicle plus the weight of the fuel plus the weight of the passengers plus the maximum weight of the payload. And that's a very standard number. It can be enforced. The code enforcement officer opens up the door on the driver's side, looks at the sticker inside the door. GVWR is a very standard rating. And it also neatly classifies along with the kinds of pickup trucks that contractors tend to have. For example, F-150, F-250, F-350, Ram 1500, Ram 2500, Silverado 1500, right? That's the way the numbers go. And so, we've had a situation in town. You folks probably have contractors living in your neighborhood. I know I live next door to one who had his pickup truck there all the time. Jeff Arnold PQing up the street. No one ever complained about this. This was sort of a little bit of a self-inflicted wound by an overzealous committee member who thought he was following an initiative to beautify the town. Little did he know, 21 tickets would be handed out, and there'd be a pitchfork mob coming in on
Right.
pickup trucks. And
That's pretty interesting.
And so anyway, the majority of the committee really didn't know that that happened, wouldn't have recommended that it did, but it did, and now we're in a position where we need to kind of mop up the mess, right, and clean up this ordinance. And right now, we're ignoring all violations while we have an attempt to do this. So I did a little bit of research. First was on, rationally, what kind of trucks are you looking to provide for? We all know we don't want dump trucks. We don't want cranes, right? We know we've got folks with utility vans and pickup trucks. And we know it's not going to be a Ford F-150. It's going to be a 250 or 350, because these folks are going to go down to 22. They're going to pull a trailer. They need to have that power, right? And those trucks aren't that much bigger than the 1.5 ton varieties, which aren't 1.5 tons anymore. I looked at Bridgewater, and apparently Bridgewater went through this exact same thing in 2020. For some reason, they realized they weren't enforcing an ordinance they didn't know they had, but they needed to clean it up. And I sent a copy of that out, and so you could see it. It's very sensible. Yeah, you can park them, try to hide them. They can be in your driveway, just one, if it belongs to the resident and that's their vehicle, right? Because that's what we have. And this is a blue-collar town, right? It's one of the strengths of this town. These are the folks that they've got a snowplow in front in the winter, and they're out in the middle of the night helping us all out. They're the ones that are unplugging our drains or pumping out our basements when it floods. They're the ones that are out there doing electrical work, et cetera, et cetera. We want to encourage this and not discourage it, but we also don't want to create a mess. So anyway, that's the background, a little bit of the research that I've done. I'd recommend, if you haven't seen it, maybe, Tom, you could forward it out to the committee, Bridgewater's.
Yep.
I've got it up here. I could kind of read through it real quick. But I'll stop there and want to hear what the rest of the board thinks.
Thank you for that background. I didn't know, and I vehemently agree with everything you said, because I come from a long line of family, fathers, uncles, brothers, every cousins who all have utility trucks, so I very much so support this. Self-employed, so, cool. I'd like to see the Bridgewater.
Yep, I will send that out.
I lived in a condominium, and there was a row of garages, and then there were parking spaces in front of garages, and no commercial vehicles were allowed to be parked anywhere in the parking lot. And it created a number of hardships, but that was a different situation, because they were lined up next to each other, and they they enforced it.
Is that your HOA?
The HOA, yeah, the condominium association, but, you know, they were next to each other and they were garages, it was just too big to fit into the garage, but it really was not an unsightly truck, it's just they were not willing to bend the rules.
You classify, like, we consider ourselves to be a semi-rural community still, right?
No,
that-
we
is that
changed the
still our master
classification.
plan?
We did stick to the same
Yeah.
No, didn't we change that?
We tried, we're going to, I don't think we obviously did. However.
Yeah, okay.
For this speech, for this engagement.
I thought that was changed. much
And they were
worse
just pickup
chagrin.
trucks, right? They weren't trucks that had like landscaping racks on the side.
It
or
was
dump
like
truck.
A transit truck, you know, the ones that
Like
are.
the
bo-
vans?
Yeah, like a
Like a
van.
utility box truck?
Right,
Okay. Okay.
which, nice looking vehicles.
When they're clean,
Yeah.
you know, and they're dressed up nice and, but they're work trucks, you know, and people are working out of them.
Yeah.
Mr. L?
So, I agree, and I listened to a lot of what happened at the committee meeting, it was pretty interesting. The town has the need for this for people who just want to work, and we shouldn't be causing them an undue hardship, and that's clearly what this does. So, I'd like to see the Bridgewater piece. I'm curious about how you deal with the changes that occur to what becomes a commercial vehicle or not. You know, because as we've seen over time, people are driving bigger and bigger trucks as a personal vehicle, and the commercial pickup truck's getting bigger and bigger too. So we have to be cognizant of that. So figuring out how to define it, I think is going to be the tricky piece. Maybe you got an
I'd
idea.
like to respond to that. And so that's where I think the folks in Bridgewater did excellent work on this. And so one of the things they talk about, heavy-duty pickup truck and van conversions with a gross vehicle weight rating of 14,000 pounds or less are permitted, provided that such vehicles are to be used as utility vehicles, parentheses, for trade purposes, and further provided that such vehicles either have an opened or enclosed bed with neither racks nor stakes. Now, 14,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating is the highest capability pickup truck before you get into ones where you put boxes on the back. So it's an F-350, right? And so an F-350 is maximum gross vehicle weight of 14,000 pounds. Now, again, that's curb weight, which is the truck and the engine, the fuel, which is about 400 pounds, right? Plus the passengers, which could be another 1,000, plus the payload, which could be, another 3,000. So it adds up. 14,000 sounds like a lot, but that's everything.
And that 1,000 in people weight, that's like a crew cab,
Yeah.
extended cab, right?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Scott, of those 21 residents who got violation notices, would they all have been exempted had this ordinance been in place?
I can't tell you that affirmatively because I don't know what vehicles they have, but just understanding what I see around town, and I did drive around and look, I think this would have to, this would cover, if not all of them, most of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm trying to understand if you have a closed back on a utility vehicle, is that in or out in Bridgewater?
I'm assuming it's anything that you can walk into, not a van, so it's not a van. We're talking about a pickup truck that might have an enclosure in the back. You have the utilities with toolboxes on the side, and then sometimes you'll see a door in the
Right,
back,
they-
and you go up into the back of the
Right,
cab, into the back.
utility vans is what they used
Yeah,
to call them,
so it says
right?
examples of permitted vehicles include, but are not limited to, minivans, full-size and heavy-duty pickups, utility vans, multipurpose vehicles, and then it goes on.
Okay, so the list is pretty extensive. Okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty specific.
All right, and then I just want to make sure about this whole advertising thing, right? Because that, I think you have to do that by law if you have a commercial vehicle, right?
That's right.
You have to have it has to be.
You have to have your license on there.
Right.
If you're registered as a commercial vehicle.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Bridgewater covers that too by saying that you should try to move it where it's not in sight or screened, but not sitting out in front like additional advertisement that, hey, you know, I'm a plumber, or I'm a carpenter, or I'm a landscaper, right? It's not sitting out there as advertisement. It's, you went home and you parked your car in the drive. I think it says in the driveway or at least 5 feet away.
Yeah, they even cover that. It says, "The vehicle shall not obstruct any pedestrian or vehicular traffic and be no closer than 5 feet from a side or rear property line. To the extent feasible, the vehicle shall be screened by a combination of fencing and/or landscaping to provide year-round screening. Wherever possible, the vehicle shall be parked in a side or rear yard." So even that, it's giving some wiggle room, right? It's giving guidance on what should be, but it's not.
The only thing it doesn't talk about is trailers. It does mention in the title.
It mentions in the titles because they replaced the previous, which probably did, and that is
yeah.
something that, you know, we need to
Dig in
find
deeper.
on that, yeah.
Yeah.
Trailers are covered in a different part of, a different ordinance though.
Yeah, and the Bridgewater is where I'm referring to because that's the example that we're using that
Yeah.
seems to be pretty comprehensive with
Things like
allowing-
trailers, boats, those are covered in a different area.
Yeah, and some of those is recreational versus some of those are used for actual work, right?
But to Bob's point, we have personal vehicles in town which are 350s with dualies.
Oh,
Yeah,
Right, the people are pulling boats, and so it's sort of incongruous to, you know, that's okay, but if you have your plumber's license on there, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was going to be my points as well, about juries in particular. Because there were some other ordinances do talk about juries, where they say 2 axles only. So there's some further definition. So regardless of how we define this, I think, and I'm sure we're not defining it right now,
No.
because we don't have all the knowledge and how we should really present it. But the concept of one commercial, garage if possible, if not, out of sight or within the lot, within the lot lines, so it's not at the front of the driveway. I think that all makes perfectly good sense in our town. Now, some folks have more than one, so they park on the street. That may be a different subject. But in terms of parking in a residential only, then I think just a clarification of the points we discussed, and I think we should be good to go personally. I don't see any reason why not to do this.
So what I would like to do is send around the Bridgewater, send around what we believe are the drafted recommendations, which will take mostly the context of what might be in the Bridgewater, because it seems to be a good foundation, sound, and make sure that our recommendations are somehow covered. And if they're not, we need to think about the language that needs to go in for that.
Yep.
And I'll send that around for everyone to do homework, so that way we can come back at our next meeting and be ready to send something up to the TC after we discuss it one more time.
Sure.
Yeah?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
No.
No, no,
It's up to you.
no. We don't do comment on this.
It would be helpful.
Or is it at my leisure?
Your discretion.
My discretion? Come on up. Make sure you get a mic.
Right there.
Yeah, it's not a public hearing, it's just
Oh, okay,
discussion of the
well,
orders.
But
No,
that's
no, but you're allowed to, with discretion of the chair would appreciate your input.
My name's George Deppner, 1968 Valley Road.
Still at 1968 Valley Road?
Yep.
As of today.
Were you born in '68, or that's the address?
59.
I'll take 68.
So I think you're going down the correct road because, you know, I think one commercial vehicle, because like my son, he uses their vehicle to go back and forth to work. And that's a tremendous savings. That's worth about $5,000 a year on somebody's pay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I really think it needs to be addressed that, you know, guys who live here and they bring their vehicle home. I'm not talking dump trucks and trailers and excavators and all that stuff. We're talking like a guy going to work with his
With his name on it.
anti-shade case, you know, only it's his truck, you know. And the registration of a commercial vehicle says it all. If it's a commercial registration, then it's a commercial vehicle. And if you're allowed one, you're allowed one. And when you go up into the scale, it's just no dump trucks, you know? And a pickup truck can be registered as a personal vehicle. It just is a different insurance rate, and, you know, you have to have it inspected, all these types of things. But I appreciate you going in the right direction, and hopefully we can get this resolved. And so you're not issuing tickets now? So
I think there were warnings first.
there were
time,
warnings sent
and-
out.
There were warnings sent out, but, no,
So,
code enforcement's holding off on anything till we figure this out.
okay, so he could still park at the house?
Yes, he may.
Okay, right, thank you.
What we
Makes
don't wanna
life a
see
lot
is
easier.
Fleet of trucks.
No, no,
We
no.
don't want, we don't want.
He's been
someone
parking there for 8
parking-
years, since he got the job. 10 years. And it's always back off the road, you know, back by the garage, you know. And in the wintertime, it's generally put in the garage, so he doesn't have to clean the snow off. And we don't, you know, don't run a business out of the house or anything like that. His truck's always clean, well-maintained, you know. All of these things matter because you don't want, you know, you don't want somebody putting all kinds of stuff in their backyard.
And just for clarification, it would fit under the criteria that we discussed. It's a,
Yes,
it's a regular pickup truck, I guess, or something.
yeah, it's a van. It's a service van.
It's a 2023 Ford Transit van.
For-
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just curious, did you get a warning?
No, I got a notice saying that if you don't find a place to park your vehicle, you're going to get a ticket on such and
Sounds
such
like a
date.
warning.
So,
Very
you know.
abrasive, but that sounds like a warning.
yeah, and then, you know, it adds a burden already onto a blue-collar worker, where he has to go find a spot
Yeah.
to be close to home and pay $500 a month to park a vehicle. So that adds an additional burden on an already overworked class of people.
I'm a white collar worker and I gotta ride New Jersey Transit. and I gotta pay
Oh, I feel bad for you. I used to do that.
Well, we appreciate your sitting here for 2.5 hours.
I think everyone's intention is headed in the right direction.
Yes, I think so.
we
I'm glad I
represent-
came,
Yeah.
so that I could hear it and, you know, no longer be worried about such things.
No,
You know,
and I'm glad
and
you're
trust
here.
that you'll do the right thing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're here to hear us talking about it because we want people to know that we are addressing concerns.
Well, I heard it through the grapevine that you were gonna talk about it and that there was plans afoot to change things, you know, but I just wanted to come and show my support and see what, actually hear what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
You can always play this back later on YouTube.
Oh, I watch,
Just fast forward it.
I can't, I gotta watch my cat and dog videos.
I'm with you on the cat videos.
Okay.
Cat videos.
Thank you.
All right. I've already apologized for one wife who, happy
Yeah.
Mother's Day. Now everyone knows I'm a cat video guy. We got one more ordinance to talk about. This is ground floor apartments,
Yes.
move to resolution. While you're about to call that up, I'm hoping I still have power. I want to give some quick stats, and I'm going to pass that over to you, Mr. Lavender, for the TC, in case you want to show progress as to what we're doing here on the org. So, let me just quickly pull this up. This actually kind of goes to a comment, Teresa, that you made, wanting to know how we're doing with, as far as progress in making a dent.
Yeah?
So,
When you say resolution, you're talking about moving
draft,
the ordinance.
moving draft ordinance, draft
Okay.
resolution.
You keep saying resolution, it's like throwing me off.
Revolution. Revolution.
I agree with your comment that it could be 12 per.
Whoa, careful, careful.
Yeah.
Strike that from the record.
I'm gonna play that back on YouTube.
Another person.
So just to give some
You're gonna beat out the
stats-
cat video.
Thank you. So just to give some stats, we have 2 approved, while still need to be amended, 2 approved resolutions that have been sent to the TC and signed off. We are working to send HPAC, another one, which we'll do in 2 weeks' time. We're also, no, we did send that one up, sorry, so that should be at the TC, not this meeting, I think it'll be the next meeting.
I haven't seen the actual ordinance on that, so no, I haven't sent
No?
anything, no.
Okay, so then we'll
Nobody's,
work
like,
to do that.
I don't have it in this format.
No, you don't have,
Wait, sorry, what is this?
HPAC,
The change in the HPAC?
Oh,
the name changes for HPAC.
well, I did that.
Yeah.
We did?
And we voted it last week. It was in one of the minutes.
No, I know that, but I don't remember seeing this. I'll have to go back to my notes.
I'll send it to
Oh
you.
my God, it's getting so
Okay.
confusing. Okay.
I'll send
All
it
right,
to you.
so,
again.
so that's
Yeah.
3. now we have, we're gonna work on a draft resolution for houses of worship, so that's 4. We now, will also be working on a draft resolution for zoning name changes, which, has 7, it addresses 7 items within the master plan. It also addresses the zone map changes that will be going to Mr. Vooch. That touches 39 line items within that. And there's also the chairman of the planning board is also working with map changes. Ground floor apartments. So right now, we're up to 39, 36, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 40 changes that we're, I'm sorry, 45 changes that we're looking to make and address within the master plan. We're also gonna do the ground floor apartment, which you have in front of you today. So that's another one, so that's 41 we're up to. Then we're gonna start discussing the residential zones, there's a new one. The BD zone permitted use, there's 5 more setbacks for the BD zone. That's another one that we're going to do. And then we're gonna get a list of stuff from the zoning board of adjustment when they hand down their items, which one of them is generators. And then the last one is sheds. So you're looking at almost 60 items that we're touching, and there's over 300 items in the master plan itself. So we're like a little less than 25%. So we are, what little work that you may see coming across as onesie twosies, there's a big effect that's happening on the back end. So we are doing a lion's share, and that's only through the first quarter and half of, or the first month of the second quarter. So a lot of work is being done.
Pardon the interruption. If you don't mind, just tomorrow or Thursday, if you could send me an email and clarify
Yes,
what is currently ready to
Yes.
go to TC.
I will do that.
And then I'll get it to them ASAP, and it'll be on their agenda for the 28th.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yep, I will do that.
Thank
And
you.
I'll put Liz on that so she keeps me honest. Thank you for that. And Mr. Lavender, I'll send you the stats in case you want to go through those.
Please.
Thank you. So I'll now turn it over to Ms. Lehaney.
Yeah, sure, thank you. So I took what the org had done, which was really extremely helpful in the sort of template that you've been using to organize the information and your thought processes. And I basically, put all the preamble, which I sort of cribbed very much from your template, and then used the what the proposal was, which we discussed last time, and Teresa can probably fill you in a little bit more, but to address some of the concerns that were raised by the board, Teresa added some information about screening and also a definition for ground floor, which I think, addressed some of the concerns. When I was doing this, thought of 2 things that I just wanted to run by everybody, which is that currently this section is called apartments and business zones, and then it specifically talks about the village and hamlet. And so, and then we have other business zones. We have the BD zone on Valley Road, et cetera. So I would suggest that we actually rename this to apartments in the village and hamlet zones, because I think it's a little bit more, we're not talking about Valley Road, we're talking about the villages and the hamlet.
Yeah, I think it's not just villages, and I'm just trying, I thought I would have caught that, so I'm just trying to see if I did. But I think absolutely, and I think even just villages, because I'm trying to.
We have the MH, it's in the MA, which is the Myersville Hamlet, so.
Which, by the way, the dash should come out of that, because when I update,
Oh, okay.
when we update the.
Yeah, okay, it's gonna be.
I'm gonna try to make it all consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever, villages and hamlets, but I agree with you.
I know, I thought if we just said villages, we'd be ignoring the hamlet.
That's more hamlet.
I know. And the other comment I had was the last sentence in the amendment, which says the gross density of all apartments on the lot shall not exceed 3 units per quarter acre. And I would recommend that you do 12 units per acre, just because typically density is expressed in, full acre, and it just becomes like you're trying to be cute, like we're just doing 3 but per quarter acre, so I'd recommend that you be 12 dwelling units per
Do we
acre.
not address this somewhere else in our ordinances about the number of units per acre? Why do I feel like that's somewhere else in our code
Well,
book?
density as Liz just said, density is defined as number of dwelling units per acre.
Right.
So it would be in affordable housing, it's utilized all the time as, a measure of,
Yeah,
multifamily housing.
it could be in the zones. The affordable housing zones are pretty specific about the density.
I'm happy with the suggestion, I just
Yeah.
don't want us to be conflicting somewhere.
I don't.
And I know we're calling out specific zones, specific hamlets and villages.
It's 12 units per
It is
acre
12.
And it was
in
5.
Millington.
Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
we're talking about two different things.
Millington is
sorry,
12 dwelling units maximum, not to exceed per acre.
I think that was cheaper, right?
That's Tifa.
That was Tifa.
That was Tifa, but that was for the whole
Yeah, the whole
Millington
thing.
village, I
Where did the
remember.
5 come from?
The 5 was in the existing ordinance. It says 5 dwelling units per acre. And so the issue, of course, in a lot of these villages is that the lot sizes are so small
Yeah.
that as soon as, if they have 5, there's 20 dwelling units per acre, because the lots are so small and they may have 4 or 5 units, but then that translates to something much greater. And when you put it in terms of acres, sorry.
And it takes it away. So,
Yeah, sorry, what I mean is the 5 dwelling units per acre that's in the existing ordinance is really low
On the
for.
lot size.
And because when it translates to actual, on the ground
Smaller lots.
conditions, you have small lots.
and that's
It
what we're
already
going to
says
change.
it.
And
We're
then
just
we're
gonna
going
make
to change
this
that,
12.
12 per acre.
So per acre is
It's 12 per
used
acre.
throughout many of our ordinances.
Yeah, like
Nobody
dwelling,
uses per corner.
no,
Yes,
no,
exactly. So
it's
that's
usually
great.
like if you're trying to be cute by being like, we're not being that dense,
Yes,
you know.
if you were trying to
that kind
hide
Yeah,
it.
you're
Yeah,
trying to, you're
yeah.
Make
trying
it
to
look like
hide it.
you're not going so high, you would say
Well-
per quarter acre.
Well, so the reason I think we actually originally did that was almost naively to make it resemble the size of the
zone.
of the zone actually there, but it
Which-
doesn't make it different. Like, this
Which
is
makes
more
sense.
uniform.
It does make sense. I understand why you did it, but I just think
Yeah,
it's a little
I-
bit more consistent with what we've done elsewhere.
What's the current zoning for Myersville County?
Well, it's all the 5. Oh, so you're asking what the minimum lot size is?
Yeah, no.
Dwelling units per
Dwelling
acre.
units.
Density.
Density.
Yes, right.
Right now, it's currently, all of those zones have the 5 dwelling units per acre. Per acre
So now we're going
to 12.
I guess Millington,
quite a lot more.
Well, so right,
Plus
because
the
5
overlay.
per acre necessitated variance relief to come to the board
the
because most of those
multi-use
lots at, say, 3/10 of an
and you.
acre are less than 2 units
Are we doing
on
too
the lot.
much with this last sentence? I'm just wondering if we're opening it up too much, especially somewhere like Myersville. And does it serve purpose here, where we're really trying to address the first bit? Is this contradictory, can it be contradictory?
Well, I mean,
And is it too much?
if you take the density out, let's just say, and you just keep everything else in, and then you have the bulk standards of the zone, right? So these buildings can only be a certain height, be a certain, I don't know, floor area ratio or whatever. And you leave this density out, you could do that, because
I
it's,
just don't like, I just personally don't like density strewn in various different places, as opposed to keeping it focused under the bulk standards and whatever else, so we're not.
Are
I
you
just think
saying
it's,
strike the sentence, David?
The last sentence. I wonder if we're opening ourselves up too much here. Because now we're coming into Myersville Hamlet, the Gillette, Kennington Stowe, Myersville. I think there's a little bit more sensitivity there. It's a hamlet after all, right? Are we now, and then we're going from 5 per acre to now almost 2.5 times. Maybe 12 an acre. I think it's a bit too
I
much.
think it's too much.
And we should be, density should be not snuck away down here, it should be more visible elsewhere. So that's just.
But this is in the hamlets, right?
this
It's
is.
not the R zones we're talking about.
Correct. So
we're
it's the village
in a
zone,
focused
so.
area on small lots already. It's not like we already have an acre.
I-
But I think density should be a broader.
No, because we're addressing it. We don't have one. we don't have any acre properties in the hamlets.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying the language should be made best served elsewhere,
You mean within this ordinance or just elsewhere?
elsewhere with any language. We're talking about apartments and business, right, and the size.
I think we were just trying, that sentence is already there.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could say is essentially, if we took it out, then we'd be relying on the zone bulk standards, which maybe is fine. You have these other standards in here, and maybe it accomplishes the same thing, because you're already limiting what a building looks like in terms of
I
bulk.
just want to make sure we're not contradictory. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm not saying something too, I'm being too broad a brush. I would say 12 per acre personally is a lot for Marsville Hamlet. As opposed to 7
I'm trying to find it in the master plan. I know it's in the
So,
master plan.
I understand what your concern is, but I think we should be straightforward about it, too. It's a not to exceed, it's not a you will do.
Yeah, but the zoning, under the actual zone itself should define the densities, not
So this way, Myersville can have its own,
Right, because there may be 8, maybe perfectly fine in Marsville. I think it's stuck in here under a subject.
Well,
It's a little bit-
so,
Well, it's not getting here because there was something there that nobody was meeting. So we tried to, I think, address
I
that.
wouldn't address it here.
But
Oh, right.
it
You
just,
know what?
maybe take it out and put it,
And
so what, if we took it out, what would like, what would the, what would it be in Myersville based on the bulk standard? You
See,
probably don't know off the top of your head.
I don't. I would have to look at sort of what the typical lot sizes are in Myersville, just to get a sense if what you're saying, I mean, I'm not trying to challenge you, like, I don't believe what you're saying, but just to make sure that what you're saying is true, that like at 12 dwelling units will be, crazy in Myersville, where it might not be crazy in Sterling.
Exactly.
Can we just run that exercise?
Yeah?
I think it will be.
Let's just,
No, that's fine, but
let's
we,
run the exercise.
Okay.
And then see how that maps out, because we may walk away and say, you know what, we were good with what we're proposing. Or we say, no, that we're off center, and we need to just
You're
recalibrate.
saying you'd like each village to have an opportunity to have a different number for the density
Well,
requirement?
that's what we do I think that's what we do today, like, for
Yeah.
Sterling, right? Tifa, specific.
Well, Steve, the
That was-
redevelopment
that's-
plan.
that was a-
Specific lot.
That was
Some of the
written.
garden
Well, that had an
apartments are
overlay.
maybe 8
Yes.
per
Yeah.
acre. The senior centre, I think 16. per
Yeah,
acre, something
yeah.
like that. So there's variations on specific lots
The-
within the zone, as opposed to tucked away in here, that somebody can say, oh, hang on a second, I can do 12 in Marsville Hamlet. Elsewhere.
They just gotta they have to find an acre to do 12.
Oh, yeah.
well, we have to look, it will get some more
I think there'll be,
substantive.
I'd
Yeah.
like to understand a better place for that type of density statement.
Yeah, I mean, the other zones
swear
that you're
it's in the
talking about
master
were very
plan someplace.
specific, typically affordable housing zones that had a density because they had to.
That's an overlay.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say,
Right, yeah.
I've been voluntold
Can't live
on
those
that.
the same.
But I also, you've raised an intriguing question, which is maybe we don't even need a density if we're gonna say we're doing,
If the
you
bulk
have the
standards and
bulk
the height.
standards.
Yeah. So, and then my last point is 8, just remind me why 8 dwellings exist, where more than 8, where's the number 8?
Why no more than 8?
It's just a question.
Why no more than 8 dwellings exist?
Where more than 8, then you have to do the land.
Oh, I think we were looking at the application that went on 224, 226, and they had 8 or 10 residential units, and then they required commercial on the bottom. So that's like,
Yeah.
we use that as a baseline.
So using
Yeah.
an actual application.
Yeah.
No.
Before, yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you for that.
All right, so the takeaway sounds like a little bit of an exercise to just see what each of the villages and hamlets might show. We
Yeah,
may be-
I think-
we may be
yeah.
off, or we may be spot on, we don't know yet.
Right.
And there's a better place for that to be said than here.
Well, it may or may not be there, depending on a little bit of analysis. Okay. Okay.
I saw that parking also, you addressed the parking, Liz. because there was an issue about accessory apartments versus accessory dwelling units, and a difference in apartments being 2
We're gonna
parking
use the
spaces
RSI.
per unit.
We were gonna use the RSI for that, right?
The RSIs, I actually was just doing 124.1, which doesn't have the parking in it. That's what I did for right now. That's another amendment.
Is that another one for the orc?
It's, well, I think Teresa did the work on it, right?
Well, I need to look, I don't wanna cut you off.
Yeah,
Go
it
ahead.
was just when you did it, it was accessory dwelling units versus apartments. And it was based on accessory dwelling units being 50% of one space, where if they're considered truly apartments, then it's 2 parking spaces per unit.
I've got to look at exactly, the RSIS, it's done on by the bedroom, by the kind of the building type, and then by the bedroom. So what you see in Sterling would probably, it's not a garden apartment, but it's like a stacked townhouse.
I think garden apartment tends to be the default that I turn to in RSIS when looking at the units that don't fit right in the box of
Right.
the units in RSIS. Garden apartments is most commonly referenced for parking standard
And
on these types of units.
And so then the RSIS, what it does, it'll say, okay, for garden apartments that have studios and 1 bedrooms, the obligation is this many parking spaces per apartment. For a 2-bedroom, it's this many. For 3-bedroom or more, or 3-bedroom, it's this, and anything above 3 is that.
So it's based on bedrooms
It's based on
versus
bedroom.
dwelling units or apartment.
Right, and based, and versus square footage. I mean, the idea, of course, is that if you have 3 bedrooms, you potentially could have three drivers, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, at
And I'm
least.
happy to work on that. There's a few that are queued up next, but driving through a bunch of these towns, almost every lot has a driveway, if not a driveway that leads into like a further, so I personally haven't observed parking to be like some sort of pressing issue where all of a sudden there's gonna have to be like a lot of street parking.
Right.
Because they're all already built as existing homes that have driveways. They're not built like normal cityscapes that don't have.
Well, I think
It's not like
this,
commercial property.
I
where
think
we're
it's
trying to build
appropriate for
parking.
Sterling Village, when I look at Sterling Village. When I look at Millington, not so much. When I look at Myersville, not so much.
But
So I
wouldn't you
think
say
the
they
way
have
it's
driveways
written.
too?
No, I wouldn't.
No? Okay,
no.
well then, but
Just
that's
drive
also
down, Millington Village and look at the businesses. Look at Carg, where the plumber is, and there's apartments upstairs, and there's commercial downstairs. If he were to turn one of those into commercial, where are those people gonna park? There's no parking. If the bank would have plenty of parking, but you've got Sterling Village, you've got a true linear downtown. It's not true in the other villages.
But I guess my point is there's already a parking ordinance that exists. It's just, it exists already. And so we might need to update it because of this, but it's a separate ordinance that I just don't think is gonna be like tomorrow, all of a sudden, everything's changing.
Everything's a ground floor apartment.
Because there's a state standard and then our own ordinance, which you said, does it reflect the state standard? Do we reference it?
No, we do reference it, but I think we reference it saying it applies, but then we provide our own standards,
So
so.
maybe we should just update it and just mirror the state
state,
standard.
yep.
So,
That's an idea.
Okay, so we still have a little bit of homework to do on that.
Okay.
So we're not sending anything to the TC, but I will send you a list of where I think things are. Liz will keep me honest, and we'll get it pushed on. Okay, that takes care of some old business with a little bit of new business. Does anyone else have any old business or new business?
2 old businesses. One was the one we discussed earlier, the 1554. And what do we do about this? 1554.
This is the flags.
The flags, and whether it's there to strike that or to be permitted, or to permitted home office uses. I think the township committee accepted it with that language in it. And if they approved it, accept it, then that's by law the law. How do we now go back and say, maybe we want to rethink that. So send it after
Do we just send another amendment up?
part 2.
Well, you made the recommendation, both the consistency determination and the recommendation. Apparently, the governing body adopted the ordinance without the recommendation, without striking the language requested to be struck. It is the ordinance as it presently stands. There's nothing stopping the planning board from sending or having Deb send a communication respectfully requesting once again that they amend the ordinance to strike that language out, if that is the desire of the planning board, and we could do a simple motion, second majority vote to, should you wish to have Deb send that recommendation to the governing body.
Yeah.
There's no more master plan consistency review to do, so we got.
They had already struck it, but somehow it made its way back in.
Do I
Well,
send that
again-
in a form of a letter, or I'll run it by you, Steve? I'll just draft it.
Just a letter, say, yeah, it's fine, or memo, whatever, just,
Anybody want to make a motion?
if that's the desire, obviously, that's.
All right, for a quick comment, does anyone want to use the opportunity to comment whether to oppose that motion? Hearing none, does I get a motion?
I motion to restore, do exactly what legal counsel advised.
Second?
I'll second
Is it a all in favor, or is it a roll call?
Well, it's not a resolution, so,
All in favor?
all in favor is fine, as long as we can delineate whether we have a majority or not.
Yep, fair enough. All in favor?
Aye.
it.
Any nays?
I think we got a majority.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Any other business?
Part 2, second point, I mentioned to Kerry a little bit earlier, on from the state plan discussion, and we had that separate conversation about the water and the 10 towns or whatever within Morris County. And we asked Joe was going to consider writing to Morris County. Now, I think there may be a different opinion to that approach, so.
So I informed our township administrator of the request. We discussed it briefly and thought that it was more appropriate that the request come from township committee as opposed to our planning board as a request on behalf of the township. So it was a matter to be brought to an agenda session for discussion with the committee, and then they could take it either in public session as a discussion or essentially, I think, have the administrator and I would be the ones at the point of communication, but the request would be from them for us to reach out to the county as opposed to the planning board asking the township engineer's office to reach out to the county regarding that matter. Just it seemed like the more appropriate body to ask for that effort to be made on their behalf.
How do we go about articulating that to the township committee for them to then make a decision?
Anyone have Q-tips that I could hand over to Mr. Lavender to make sure you heard what I just said?
Play back the tape on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a topic that's not lost. It's on the table, and I'll remind our administrator about it, and so that we'll make sure that it comes to the nearest agenda discussion.
So can I just rely on you just to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that,
to the township committee?
so I don't want to sound like I'm not willing to make the effort, right? I support the effort, but the discussion that we had in brief was really over the desire that this board is expressing is a position of the township to enter into some form of agreement or coalition with other municipalities in our county. And to do that, that should be more clearly endorsed by our governing body than a function of our planning board, steps outside our jurisdiction, respectfully.
That's fine. I'll
So,
just leave it in your
yeah,
capable
so-
hands and-
So similarly to asking our secretary to send a letter to the governing body, then I'm the.
Planning board is
Yes.
recommending it to the governing body and the.
And
governing
I'll
body-
be the one carrying that message to our administrator.
And whatever they decide, that's fair.
Yeah,
But as long as the message gets
yep, absolutely.
pushed along, that'd be great. Thank
All
you.
good, Mr. Hans?
Can I bring up a happy note?
Happy note.
I took the course and I passed the test.
Is that why you got promoted to now, class four?
Totally separate, had
You get to
nothing
sit
to
to
do
my
with
right.
the other.
Oh, no.
Congratulations, Ms. Ozen.
It was
Good for you.
5 painfully boring hours, but
I'm not
Liz was
surprised.
there.
I know.
You were good.
You went to my session. I don't know
You
what you're
were,
saying.
you were the best, you and Yolanta.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, Yolanda's good.
But the person, well, I
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
shouldn't-
that is.
Any other business?
there was some
Any
real
other
snooze
business?
time.
No.
No, no
Right on,
other
Pam.
business? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Very good.